Good evening. I'd like to call the Groton Board of Education Committee of the Whole meeting to order. It is 6:05 on October 20th, and the meeting's being held at the central office remotely and in person. In person tonight, we have the board. We have Jen White. We have Dr. Mancini, myself, Bev Washington, Superintendent Austin. We have Adrian Johnson. And in attendance, we have Steve Wheeler. I don't know the person sitting next to you.
He's just here visiting. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm here for moral support.
Good. They might need it. And Jamie Giordano. Jamie's from Thames River, and Steve, and the other person for moral support from Mystic River. And online we have Mike Whitney's online, and so is Dr. A online. So the first order of business is to review the minutes of October 14th. Everyone received the minutes in their package. It's attachment number 1. Any corrections or comments about the minutes?
Yeah, I have one comment where we were talking about the draft of the school calendar under item 4. Mm-hmm. It says consensus of the board was for the proposed calendar B. I believe there was also some talk that we were waiting for staff input or the GEA contract. Mm-hmm. Maybe that could be reflected.
Okay, so you want to add the board is also waiting for staff input?
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, all those in favor of the minutes with the correction, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Dr. A, how are you voting for the minutes?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, passed. Next item on the agenda is presentation of IB personal and professional skill course revisions, and I'll turn it over to the assistant superintendent. And that's attachment 2 in the packet.
Thank you, Chairman Washington. Today, we have a teacher that's going to be presenting a course to us. The course is what we're referring to as a major revision. The revision is being presented to us. The original course was presented to the board, I believe, in 2016. Since the course has since been revised by the IB World Organization, every few years the organization does update its courses and the curriculum, and in alignment with our process, Mr. Morth is coming forward and has proposed in accordance with the in accordance with this IB revision, an alignment to our course, and he is going to present that course. He presented it to the curriculum, the board curriculum committee, and now he's presenting it to our committee of the whole. Mr. Morth?
Hello there. All right, so the IB Personal and Professional Skills course is the central core of the IB career-related program. We were authorized for the IB career-related program 7 or 8 years ago, pre-COVID, but then COVID happened. It never got off the ground. A few years ago, it started. They tried to make it come back a little bit. The course, the IB Personal and Professional Skills course, ran for 1 semester and then kind of floundered. So we are bringing it back this year, revitalized. We have 13, 14 kids enrolled in the course right now. It's supposed to start next semester. That's but what we have on the books is the old version of the course. We want to update the curriculum so that it fits all of the IB 2027 graduate requirements for the personal and professional skills and all the rest of the IB career-related program core elements. So that's what I'm here to talk about, answer any questions about, but getting everything going in that process so that we can have our kids ready to go when they start in January.
You want to talk about the cost? This evening.
Mr. Morth, will you talk to us a little bit more in depth about the course itself and, what's required of students? I know, again, it is a requirement of the IB career-related program. Talk a little bit about what students learn during this course, other expectations.
Sure. So the course, for kids who do the IB career-related program, there are 4 major elements of the core that they need to go through. So the big one is the IB personal and professional skills class, which is going to form the bulk of the curriculum that we're proposing to write. In the course, the kids learn communication skills, they learn teamwork, they learn how to problem solve, work as part of a team, how to be an employee, be a coworker, all the skills, these real-world skills that they're going to need out in the community, out in the working world. And then there's 3 other elements of the IB career-related program core that we would like to include in this class. There's the community engagement aspect where kids need to get out and get involved in their community, preferably with their career-related study. We have a bunch of kids who are doing the nursing program and the Ed Rising program, so we've got that. There's also the language and cultural studies, which IB is very big on kids tackling other languages and cultures. So in language and cultural studies element of the course, they're going to be choosing a language and a culture that they want to study in greater depth and learn more about and develop a portfolio with. And then the final aspect is the reflective project, which takes place over the course of a year and a half. Students choose an ethical dilemma in their career-related study and do a major research project on that ethical dilemma that they'll be guided through throughout the course, and that's going to result in a major presentation and an essay of anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 words.
And Mr. Morth, one more question that I have for you is, can you articulate for us? I know you've just explained quite a bit about the course. What are the? You're coming forward because it's a revision, and that revision was made. The IB World Organization has revised the curriculum, and which is why you're kind of here today. What are some of the revisions? We know the course was approved by this board several years ago. What are some of the revisions that you can kind of articulate or share with the board from the original course?
So the IB, as you said, they revise their courses roughly every 7 years. They get feedback from all sorts of stakeholders, parents, teachers, students, etc. So the personal and professional skills course has been updated with that feedback. There's a lot more emphasis on communication and teamwork skills. With the community development, community engagement aspect of it. In the past, it was called service learning. It was all about just community service. The IB has made it a little bit more flexible for our students to engage with a bunch of different types of communities. It doesn't have to just be community service. It can be working within your schools, working in a lot of different elements. With the language and cultural studies, it used to be just a checkbox. It used to just be called language development, where students could take a language class or they could do Duolingo and log hours that way. This is asking them to keep a portfolio and a learning journal of their experiences, and also choose the focus is more on the culture and not necessarily just the language. So giving schools some more options, but also making the experiences more meaningful for the kids. The reflective project has remained largely the same.
Thank you.
I see on the handout that it says you're going to apply for UConn ECE credit with the course. How does that? Tell me the process for that.
So Jen Holberton she has a communications major, and she teaches our oral communications 1 and 2 courses at the school right now. Her oral communications 2 course is already approved by UConn as an ECE course. So after looking through the curriculum and some of our ideas for the course, we believe that a rewritten, revitalized PPS course would qualify for the UConn Comms 1000 course, which is Introduction to Communications. That is a different UConn course than her Oral Comms 2 course. So if we get approved, we would apply for that. The application deadline for that is January 31st for UConn.
And it also talks about professional development for the staff. How many hours of professional development do they need?
So, right now, Jen Holberton is scheduled to travel to do I did the PPS workshop, the updated PPS workshop in June. She is scheduled to go in November to get the IB training, and then from there, we would need time to write the curriculum. I believe Dr. Mancini said that a major revision is scheduled, I believe, 42 hours of curriculum writing. Because this would be a 1.5 credit course, so it's pretty significant.
So only 2 people need the in-service training? Only you and Jen?
Right now, we have enough. There's a full section this year, so there'll be one full section next year, plus whatever juniors we bring in. So we believe that 1 teacher currently will be sufficient. I'm the IB career-related program coordinator, so I am also there to kind of support and help her developing the class. But in the future, if the program continues to grow, we may need another teacher, but we're not there yet.
Okay. And this is for 11th and 12th graders, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And non-IB students can participate in this class?
Yes, we currently have 2 students who are not doing the career-related program who are signed up for the class right now.
Okay. Dr. A, you have your hand up?
Yes. You mentioned something about an ethical dilemma. Can you give us an overview of what that might entail?
So we have kids in the nursing program and the education program. So if I was a kid taking the Ed Rising classes, education is fraught with ethical dilemmas. So I might be interested in how politics affects education, how how money affects education, that we constantly are adopting new, or what school boards are investing money in. It's just kind of a million different things. The ethics surrounding sports in schools. Should schools be spending money on sports programs when that money could be? There's a million different options. So kids are trying to find something that they are interested in, that they want to learn more about, and they would be doing research on that, developing a project that goes along with it to explore that dilemma.
Okay, thank you.
Mike?
Thanks. Thanks for the form and the description too. My questions are, hold on, I gotta move. All right, sorry about that. My questions are, number 6, it says it's moving from a 1 credit to a 1.5 credit course. But from what I can tell from presentations years ago, it was originally conceived of as a 1.5 credit course to span junior year and then a semester in senior year. And then on the current Fitch program of studies, there's a personal and professional skills 1, which is 1 credit for junior year, and the personal and professional skills 2 for senior year, that's half credit. So it seems to me it is 1.5 credits as a bundle, and it's going to be 1.5 credits, but it seems like you're saying something different.
So no one can seem to explain that. It may have been initially approved that way. The only time it was run, for whatever reason, it was only run as a half credit junior year. The one time that the school ran it. So no one seems to be able to answer. I've asked around. I wasn't in charge of the program. I wasn't associated with the program when that happened. But the only time it's been run, it was run as half a credit junior year. But it wasn't until after I'd already put this proposal forward that when I looked in our program of studies, that I saw that it was 1 credit, but again, no one seems to know how that happened.
Okay, thanks. And my other question is, like in the program of studies, it doesn't say IB in front of it, and I infer that that means in terms of like GPA weighting, that it would come in as something like maybe a college prep or a regular course. What's the intended level? Because you talk about pairing it with an EC course, which would have a higher weighting. Just what's the intended level that's going to be? I think that's important for us to know at this stage.
So I looked into Power School, and it's currently coded as at that IB, AP, ECE level. And I thought about it, and again, we don't seem to have a real good, besides if a course is AP, IB, ECE, it just gets coded that way. But philosophically, I know the discussion has come up for the IB math courses, and what deserves to be at that top level, what doesn't. To me, unless we come up with a different definition, the fact that the reflective project is part of this class, and that is a major undertaking. That is a significant. That's college level work right there. So my personal inclination would be to have it be at that highest level, or have it remain at that highest level.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one.
Jen?
Hi, thank you for your presentation. For the community service portion of it, how many hours are expected of the students? And if it's here and I missed it, I apologize.
So it's not specified. So IB specifies that we need to give them 30 hours of guided instruction time for the community engagement. Mm-hmm. So that could be, help talking to kids about what community engagement is, helping them develop opportunities, reflecting on the experiences they have. But the community engagement guide from IB does not set down a strict requirement. That would be something that we could determine in our own curriculum writing.
Okay, and then a follow-up in regards to another portion of it. So with the cultural aspect, right, I know you had mentioned Duolingo, and because what we offer for languages is sort of limited, how are we going to measure that the portfolio of the cultural research of whatever country or culture they select, I guess, if we're not familiar as well?
So that's enough. So we are supposed to give 30 hours of guided instruction for the language and cultural studies. The guide is a little bit more specific. The kids are supposed to do roughly 40 hours of work on their own for that. Mm-hmm. So, and they eventually are supposed to produce a learning journal of that. So that would be something that would be written into the curriculum about giving kids, different options for how they may choose to engage with that. Some kids are already enrolled in our ASL courses or our Spanish courses. This would act as kind of an extension to that. If someone was in a Spanish class, they may choose Spanish as their language, but then choose a culture, Ecuadorian, Guatemalan, Spanish, Mexican, whatever, Puerto Rican, that they want to then take that the next step. And as writing the curriculum, we would develop what that final portfolio project is going to look like.
Okay. So once again, it goes, so with Duolingo, right, say I wanted to learn Arabic or Japanese or Korean, right? They would have that option?
Yes. So I've already had one of the girls ask me about, she's really into Japanese culture, and was asking, hey, could I do Duolingo and then use that to try to explore Japanese culture more? I was like, that's perfect. That's okay. A great idea.
Perfect. I just didn't want it to be limited. Thank you.
Chris, how would a senior be able to complete this class if they took it in their senior year?
So it would. I would be inclined to say that if a senior wanted to take the PPS 1 part of the class, I personally would be okay with that. I think the class is valuable. and I don't want to limit it to just kids who are doing the career-related program. So they would be able to start the class, but then they obviously wouldn't get that third semester. But I would be, so I'm the theory of knowledge teacher, and if a senior wanted to take TOK 11, I think they would get a lot out of that experience. They wouldn't necessarily finish their extended essay, but they would still get to take part in all the class activities and still get a lot out of it.
Well, it sounds like a class that could be very beneficial to our students. And all,
Yeah.
So, it sounds like a great class.
Yeah, it does.
That's our hope. We've already got the kids excited about it, so we're hoping that we can make this something that's going to be really meaningful and fun for them.
How are you going to go about advertising, to get more students eventually interested in the class?
So we had one senior in the program who graduated last year. There are no seniors this year. But I have 13, 14 juniors this year. So that was just all legwork from me last year going into the sophomore classes, talking to everyone about the IB programs that we offer. So my hope is that this becomes there's kind of a snowball effect, that if this group of juniors can get into the program and start feeling that they're getting something meaningful out of this, that it won't just be me beating the drum, that the kids will start talking to each other in their nursing classes, their ed rising classes, stuff like that, and that'll kind of trickle down to the next generation of students.
Okay,
And
thank you.
we've seen the same thing happen with the nursing program as well, like to the point where we almost could use another nursing teacher. It's become so popular. She's at max capacity at this point. So
Yeah,
I think
she
the kids
can't let everybody in right now.
Yeah.
Adrian, you want to say anything?
Oh, yeah, I'll just say that I'm in support of this class. I think it would be a great class. The one hesitation I have is something that I know we're going to be talking about, but the level of the class. And if the reflective project is really going to be in kind of the last third of the class or whatever, the last half credit, is that the only part that should be of that higher level credit versus kind of the honors level for the first half of the class? I mean, could you answer that? Or?
Yeah, so the reflective project will be turned in senior year, but so the way it works in theory of knowledge is I introduce the extended essay in November of junior year, and we start doing background research, we start connecting with advisors, and then in the theory of knowledge class, at the end of junior year, they have a rough first draft done, and then senior year is about going back, revising, digging in, meeting again with our advisors. So it's spread over 2 years, but it really around quarter 2 of junior year is when we start it in TOK, and I imagine we would try to do something similar in the PPS course, because trying to do it all senior year would be overwhelming, I think.
All right.
So you're saying that the rigor level in the first part of the course is substantial enough to be considered at that IB, AP, ECE, and would they be getting credit also for that through ECE or UConn?
I think for me personally, I think the reflective project is what pushes it over the edge to me, because it's unlike anything that kids do in any other sort of class. Like, there's no other class in our school where kids are writing a 4,000-word research paper besides theory of knowledge. So that's the element to me that would incline me to think it belongs at that higher level.
All right. Well, thank you. I mean, I support, drafting the curriculum at this point, but before final approval of the course, I think I would want to have some understanding, like in general, with the fairness of the level grading of some of the different AP and IB classes, and where they all kind of shake out to have a better feel of where this one shakes out with that as well. So I'll be bringing that up again, but I appreciate this for now.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, so this goes back to curriculum, or what do you want to do with it?
No, actually, it gets voted on here. It's already been at curriculum, and it gets voted on here, and then pending approval, he is moved forward to write the curriculum, he and
Okay.
a colleague.
Okay, so we'll take a vote. Well, okay, we'll take a vote on this.
Presented to curriculum subcommittee, presented to committee of the whole for approval for drafting.
Okay. To approve the IB Personal and Professional Skills Course revision, so it can go back to curriculum and they can start working on it. Okay? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye for Dr. A, aye for Mike,
Yes.
and
Yes, do we need a first and a second? I don't know if we have that.
Good night.
Yes.
That was my question.
do we need to make a motion? Or just,
I'll make that motion.
all right, who's that, Mike?
Yep.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
I move to
This is-
approve the curriculum writing for the, I forgot what it's called now, personal and professional skills
Area
class.
of knowledge.
I'll second that. Dr. Ray, I'll second it.
Okay, Mike and Dr. A. Okay, any discussion, any more discussion, comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Jay, are you there?
Yes,
Okay, you said aye, okay. Joan, Jay joined about 6:20. He came online, approximately 6:20. Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Any opposed, abstentions? So it moves back to curriculum for writing. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Morth.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right, next item on the agenda is Thames River. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Unless you guys.
Mystic River.
Can I talk to you?
You both, everybody can come up. Just move the nameplates away.
Sit up here with us. Even you, Paul, you do the name. Come here.
Paul, please join us. We're not scary. We promise, we're not scary.
All right, so Mr. Wheeler's going to go first from Mystic River Magnet School.
Yeah,
And this is attachment 3 for everyone.
right.
We put pulling that up.
I was just,
It's on.
Well, is someone pulling it up?
Lauren, I see Lauren on, I'm not sure if she's.
Oh, Lauren, you want to pull it up for us?
Would you like me to pull it up?
Pull the
Yes,
slide,
please.
that would be really helpful, yeah.
Can you see it on your end, or did I just close it out again?
It's not the full presentation, it's a little wonky.
Yeah,
That's a
hold on,
word.
let me, sorry about that. Let me try that one more time.
Can you make it, like, do it through the PowerPoint version? So it can.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to. It's not letting me. There we go. Sorry about that. Apologize.
Oh, there it goes. You got it.
Perfect.
Great.
And so would you like, Susan, did you want to lead off or would you like me to?
Well, I think that with each of these presentations, we go back to tying it together with the Groton Public Schools strategic plan. And underneath that strategic plan, there's a district plan which we plan to present to you as well, that all of our plans go back to these 5 pillars. So this one you see starred for the academics and achievement, and also communication and climate. Well, actually, cultivating the rich and vibrant learning community and tied in with our communication and climate. So, and then the schools have their own school plan as well. So they've taken action steps now based on their data. So you're going to get a feel for what they're seeing, what the trends are, and what their next steps will be. So I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. I want to introduce myself. I'm sure we know most of everyone here, but Steve Wheeler, principal at Mystic River Magnet School. We are in our 5th year in that beautiful new facility. Paul DePadua is next to me. I feel bad. I invited him just to come for moral support. Poor guy's up here now. So, but
You're in it.
I do want to showcase him. Mr. DePadua, I've known for, almost 20 years probably, but he's got a very rich history in math. In particular, he was a math coordinator at a different district. So having him here, having a lens on math in between everything else that we do throughout the day has been very good for us. So I wanted to just showcase what you see in front of you. These stats are actually last year, meaning the kids that we tested last year. This year, the numbers we won't talk about, but the numbers are higher. So we're already exceeding our enrollment. We're close to 535, 540 now. So, but last year, our enrollment when we were testing was about 505 students. That's preschool through grade 5. One of the things that makes us unique, Mystic River does house several programs for the district. We do house half of the preschool pre-K program, as Jamie does the other half. But the other piece to this is that we do house the ABA, or autistic program. One of the things that's been nice to be able to showcase when board members come in is to have your eyes on that. The program has really expanded quite a bit. We're up to 5 classrooms of ABA students that vary in different, levels of functioning, if you will. One of the things that is really important to know, too, is those students, we're only allowed to have like 1% of our population actually take an alternative assessment, and which really means that most of the students in that program are taking the SBAC assessment as everybody else does. Correct. Yeah. It comes out to like a 5% percentage, but it's very difficult to watch that because the kids really don't. They struggle obviously taking that kind of an assessment.
Is that a state law, Steve?
Yeah. Yeah. We already have 7 students that are in grade 4 that are ABA this year that will most likely be taking the assessment too. So.
Has it always been 1% or?
It roughly comes out to about 5% of the overall scores. Yeah.
AJ?
Are students that have accommodations, are there accommodations available for that test?
Yes. Yes.
So if a student gets extra time or something, there are.
Yeah, they all get extra time, but yeah, any student that has an IEP, they have, or a 504 has accommodations modifications.
So you're saying a lot of those students probably have accommodations, but maybe the accommodations they're still not going to bring them up.
Correct.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
What about, do you have any students that speak a foreign language as their main language?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that is going to be really important is if I get through this, it'll be great because I bet most of your questions that you're going to have I'll answer as I go along. We've got a nice showcase with our EL students. Those are our students that are, they speak English obviously as their second language, or they're coming from homes that speak primarily one language, whether it be Spanish or what it is. But we've we've got some really important things to share with those folks as we move forward.
Well, I
But
was going on with, do they get accommodations when they're taking the test?
I think it comes down to, it comes down to where they're at. It comes down to if they have an IEP or a 504, but they do have accommodations too,
Okay.
yeah. But it wouldn't be, in their native tongue, though. Yeah.
Still in English.
Still in English.
Still in English, okay.
Yeah, and that is difficult sometimes. Jamie can speak to this too, that if you have students that, we had a student that came to us right before testing from another country, South America, and ain't speaking English at all. So
And had to take the test.
they did. They were in that time frame where they had to. Yeah. So I'm sure every other district has the same scenario. Yeah.
Okay,
Sure, I just wanted to clarify, Mr. Wheeler mentioned that, 1% of students, and that's district-wide, it's not just his school. So it's only 1% district-wide of students are able to take that alternative assessment. So I think that's important to note because it's very limited number of students. And yes, of course, students get accommodations, but that alternative assessment is really limited to 1%. So it's really a very small number of students. And it's very hard for students to qualify when you're an English learner to, almost everybody takes that the assessment. So I forget what it is. I think it's like you have to be, it's like 11 months. I think it's 11 months in the country. So if you're here, basically the point I'm trying to make is basically almost all students, regardless of how much English you speak, you're taking the Smarter Balance assessment. Nearly all students, that's what happens. So
thank you.
Yeah.
If I just throw one clarifier.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So, just so we know, when we're comparing to like state averages and stuff, the entire state falls under those same rules.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can assume that we may have an imbalance in one school where we have all of these classrooms, but at district-wide, the numbers are going to average out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, yeah. Just getting back to our demographics, we had 41% that were at free and reduced lunch last year. Roughly 28 to 30% were special education, and our EL population was 7% when we tested. Chronic absenteeism, our trend was going down from 2023 to 25. And then Mystic River's magnet theme is playing ingenuity. We spent a lot of time really creating Friday enrichment blocks for students to cycle through. And then we've also worked diligently to create our student electives. That's our play block on Friday, which runs for roughly the last hour of the day. So that really gets students energized and interested in something particular, whether it be, coding or something like robotics. Mr. DePato and I run the chess club as well, so we get roughly 20 kids that sign up for that. But it really is an opportunity for them to, be able to engage in activities that are creative, that are, challenging them, but at the same time they're playing. Yeah. So we've done a nice job incorporating that. If we go to the next slide, Lauren's on that for me. Wish I had a button. I clicked it. Okay. I'm just going to go to the next slide. We have it with us. There it is. The next slide shows timeline SBAC over time for us. One of the things I really wanted...
Tell the audience what SBAC is.
Sure. It's a Smarter Balance assessment that we take every year. It's the state assessment. One of the things I wanted to really showcase, if you look at our scores for ELA in 2024 and 2025, if you notice our grade 5 cohort, we saw a really nice jump for them. That's the year before, in 2024, we had 39% of our students at or above benchmark, and then last year it was 45%. Same with fourth grade as well. We saw a jump from 42% to 48% in proficiency. Those are just some of the highlights that I wanted to to showcase. Same thing with math. If you look to the side there, we really were able to keep track of our grade 3 cohort. I call this a really true cohort. Grade 3 was with us since kindergarten. If you look at their math 2025 score, we were at 52% proficiency, and that was above the district average. So we were really proud of that. Those kids were with us since kindergarten, and we could really count them as a true cohort. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on them over the next 2 years.
On the ELA, what do you attribute that jump to?
I really feel like it's, we started something different last year with Wit and Wisdom, but we have really hyper-focused on small group instruction. One of the things, Bev, that I'll talk about a little bit later, we also hyper-focused on small groups of kids that were approaching benchmark, and we were able to really flood them with, I would say it's an intense, it's a pretty intense intervention we gave them. These are kids, as we'll go through the presentation, our level 2 kids are typically students that don't necessarily receive interventions. They may not be special education. They may not, what I consider, qualify for remedial reading services because we have so many that are far lower. But these kids we really hyper-focus on, and we look at the ones that are close to reaching benchmark, and how do we get them there. So you'll see in the next couple of slides where we did that, we're talking anywhere between 16 to 20 kids in ELA and math over grades 4 and 5. But we just felt the need to say, yes, they're getting, quality instruction in Tier 1, but they need something else. I think if you...
It's nice to see the gains.
Yeah, we were very pleased with that, and with our 3rd grade score. If you jump to the next slide, this is the one that I think we were just alluding to. This is the score. These are the scores that we've already looked at right now, and we are already programming for. So when we look at this for ELA and math, for example, if you look at the ELA, there's 21 students that are on the high scale score for level 2. So what this tells me is these kids are really close to approaching benchmark. If you put names on these kids, they won't be in some kind of an intervention, if you will. Most of them probably are not special education. They're going to be in a classroom. And what that's going to do is rely heavily on a classroom teacher to make sure they're providing small group instruction, which does happen. But for us, we've taken it to the next level, and I do have some scores to share a little bit later. We've used every resource in the building, and I'm talking right down to permission from Anne Marie and Susan to utilize per diem substitutes, because the budget is the budget. So we've used every one of our resources to be able to say, how can we work closely with our specialists to fine-tune some kind of an intervention for these students that we know are on the verge of getting to where their proficiency is. So I do have some scores to share for last year, but we've already targeted these students. They're already, receiving that kind of an intervention with some of our resources in our building. Like I said, we've gotten to be very creative with it. We had a couple of per diem subs last year that their background spoke to us. So one was a former math teacher, another was a former teacher in district that was, obviously very skilled in literacy. So these are the kinds of folks, you get very creative when you're working with a budget. And one of the things, if you asked anything we needed, we know that if we flood small groups of kids and we give them isolated instruction, they'll thrive.
Does that go with the low score?
Yeah, so we really take a close look at the kids who are in the low score. We identify students primarily in those low scores. We will know that most of those kids are receiving remedial reading services. Some of them are even special ed.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're like the lower. We want and they do, but some kids, like I said, this larger group of the 21 and 31 in math, those are kids that are almost there, and we know we can push them forward.
And I know that Denise is working with our special education department to make sure they're using an Orton-Gillingham-based program for all special ed kids, because we know that that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a question. Thank you. Because without even you going into the presentation, of like the others and your scores. Thank you, because just because you're average and you're performing well, sometimes you get overlooked. You totally have the smart kids who are always going to be smart. Then you have that middle group of kids that are normally forgotten because they're just doing what they're doing, and then the focus is on like remediation of like kids to bring them up to par. So thank you for like focusing in on those kids and giving them that boost to make it to the next level. So
I appreciate that. We dialogue about that at our school all the time, and I know I speak very frequently with Jamie. I feel like we're truly sister schools. Our buildings really do mirror each other. Yeah, but we talk about that an awful lot, and you know, to nauseam, I'll talk to Anne Marie about small group instruction, and I'll get to it in a minute, but part of what we've really tried to emphasize to teachers is when you have your win block, which is a 30-minute window of time that you'll have special ed students get pulled, they receive services, some of the reading kids get pulled, then you've got a group left with you. Some of those kids will be our Cuspy 2 kids, but to your point, I always think about my own child who maybe just sat there during a block like that and read a book. But here's an opportunity, and we haven't hyper-focused on that group, but I'd love to. Here's an opportunity to say, you've got 5 or 6 kids that are functioning at or above. How do we feed them as well? So it's really important. There's just so much on the plate. I do think we spent a lot of time trying to get kids to proficiency. Yep.
Yeah, you have to get those kids that are on the fence over the fence. And that's always been a struggle in this district, getting those kids that are on the fence over the fence.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, so this is, like this slide is, I'm sorry, it's one slide behind where we are on the screen, but it's students approaching benchmark. So it's that category. There's a whole other category below this, though, correct?
Absolutely.
So that's a whole other block of students.
Yes.
So we say low scale score, high scale score. There's a whole other block of students that's below that low scale score.
That are level 1.
Yeah.
And I do think we do, when I meet with Anne Marie, and she's my evaluator, it's not that I don't ever meet with Susan, I do, but I see Anne Marie quite often, and we do talk about those students that are what I call red. They are level 1 students. One of the things that I think is really important is to keep track of the growth that they do make. Some of those students will remain red throughout a year, but they've either met their growth target or they're getting closer. That's the ace in the whole question. How do you get those students to be a level 2 kid or even closer to proficiency? Many of those students do have pretty intense, special education services, and we work through that process. Yeah, those are the toughest ones, I think, to move, Adrian.
Yeah. And the level 3 and 4 is above this too. This is kind of looking at the level 2 in terms of the test.
Yeah.
You do see a little success with the level 1 students.
We do. We see that they make growth. I think some of them make an entire year of growth, but if they're 2 or 3 years behind, it's very difficult to get them to where they need to be. It is flooding them with services that are, special education, but they're also receiving core, tier 1 instruction with a classroom teacher. So I think if we can jump back to the NGSS, that's our science scores.
Tell the community what that means.
Yeah, it's just our science assessment, essentially. I don't know exactly what the... Thank you, Susan. It's the next generation science standards. And this assessment, I know I spoke a lot about this last year. This truly is what I believe to be a literacy assessment. It is. This is not about students being asked scientific questions or science-based questions that they've learned from kindergarten through 5th grade. It really is about questions that they're being asked that are science in nature, and they're being asked to answer questions. One of the things that we've spent a lot of time on this year focusing with Ben Moon, who we've been very fortunate to have at our school. He visits all the schools, but one of the things that we realize is we've got to spend more time with the performance tasks. Those are questions that really are multi-layered. They are very heavy literacy based, and they're asking kids, to do multiple things, to some degree giving multiple answers with a question. So it is spending more time with that, getting kids to really, what are they asking me to do? And then how do I find the information?
Problem-solving approach, very similar to mathematics.
Really, really honestly is. We've been lucky to have the mystery science packs. We've got those all delivered to the buildings this year. They're out in teachers' hands. But we also have mystery science assessments that we're utilizing as well. Like I said, we're relying heavily on Ben coming into the schools. He spends a lot of time with our classroom teachers going through that information and really talking about what the next steps are. So I'm hoping those scores are going to continue to grow over time. Keep in mind, this is just grade 5. They're the only ones that take the NGSS.
Do you need to change any of the instructional materials that you're using now?
I think we're in a really good place. The mystery packs, the teachers really love using those, and the students are very engaged. You know, Bev, what I think it always comes back to is we have to do two things really well. We have to teach kids to be able to read, to have fluency and comprehension, and they're strong readers, and we need them to be good mathematicians. I feel like if we can do those things super well, they can do a lot. Yeah.
That's really been the focus.
Yeah. If we go to the next slide, this is the one I'm over the moon about. My own personal goal, growth goal was to really target our ELA, our EL population, which is our students that are either speaking a different language themselves or they're in a home that is English is not the first language. So Mystic River has had consistently over the past several years the highest population of EL students. We have one teacher that gets split with 4 or 5 other buildings. She's with me for about 2.5 days, but we rely heavily on the EL tutors.
How many of them do you?
We have 2.
Is that enough?
Probably not.
How many could you use?
Well, how many are you going to give me, Bev? The answer to that question is, let me go back to this slide, and you can see the growth here. We flooded these kiddos with, not only did they receive remedial reading services, but they received EL services in addition to that. We also were diligent last year about not pulling these EL tutors. So we all get stuck with, I have 4 building subs. I've got 50 paras, and I have a whole teaching staff. On any given day, 10 to 12 people are out. If you do the math and I only have 4 building subs, I got to cover the building in some way, shape, or form. So last year we were committed. Unfortunately, math took the back seat. And I said to Paul, we cannot pull the EL tutors, and this is a result of that. You can see that those EL tutors that we have are they're so committed to our school, and they're so competent with the instruction that they deliver. We were in ELA, we were from 64% to 68%, and that was the average percentage of target that they achieved. Math soared from 47% to almost 70%, and that's our EL population. We had not. I was at this table last year, Bev, and these kids weren't moving. So we knew we needed to do something. But there's proof here that if we can flood kids with the resources and we're consistent with it, it is going to yield results. Yeah. So we were very, very committed to not pulling those EL tutors to cover the school.
How many you have? 4?
We only have 4 building subs, yeah.
How many EL tutors do you have?
We have 2.
2. Oh, 2.
Yeah.
I thought we added one to help you with the ABA. Did she get an extra?
We did have an additional building sub, but she doesn't leave ABA. ABA has a very unique position because there's one classroom that's preschool, and then there's 4 that are grades K through 5. The problem that we ran into was a union issue. And what I mean by that is because they have kids at various different levels, they have paraprofessionals and kids going out at different times. So this lunch wave is here, this lunch wave is here. The teacher was always in need of being in the room. They weren't getting their lunch or their plan time. So Susan, we obviously got Susan involved, and we had an additional building sub that just stays there. There's like a 4-hour window of time that they're there in the program. She goes in to cover lunches so those teachers can get out. But she doesn't cover...
Specialized person to be left. with
Yeah.
the teacher.
Well, she has a certification in special ed, the building sub that we have there. But the other 4 cover the 50 paras that we have and the whole teaching staff. This is what we do every 40 minutes of the day when we start. Is the coverage comes in and we're doing the war game.
How many absences do you have for staff today?
You know, on average, it's what?
It's 21 today.
It was 21 today, yeah.
Because of the rain.
Teachers?
Yeah, staff.
Staff?
It's a mix of certified and non-certified staff, yeah.
Wow.
But it's very difficult with, like, the paraprofessionals that we have. Like I said, we've got upwards of 50. Those positions you can't leave vacant because that means they're with a child, either in the specialized program, ABA, or it could be potentially in a preschool program. So you've got to fill those spaces in. But like I said, we were dedicated. It took Paul's math folks took a hit last year, but I was like, yeah, we're not pulling these people. And it really did yield the results.
Susan, you know better than anyone here, too, that, the math pros was good because the math focus, you have to be able to read to take the math test, too. So we saw gains in math and ELA with these students, and that was big for us.
Yeah.
That's a big math game, though.
Yeah,
It was
because
really
their reading improved and they could understand
Exactly.
the questions and they could try to work through the comprehension.
Most of the questions on the tests that they're taking, are those word problems or just 4 plus 5?
I think there's more of those than there are just computation problems.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And that's why Paul's saying the reading comprehension has helped.
It's not your grandmother's math test.
No.
Different choices.
Yeah.
I feel like the staff hears that from us enough. I feel I'm a strong believer. We've got to do, the core instruction with ELA and math. We have to do those really well. If we can get kids being really successful there, they can carry that in anywhere they go. So.
What is, maybe you said this already, but give me an example of a Tier 1 instruction. Could you?
Yeah, so if you're in a classroom, a teacher will provide Tier 1 instruction for everybody in her room. Everybody gets the same thing. If we're talking Tier 2, it could potentially mean that a child's working with a tutor in addition to that. But Tier 1 is the instruction that the classroom teacher will give to everybody in the room. It could be a whole group. It could be in a small group.
See, I was thinking the opposite. The Tier 1 was specialized.
Yeah.
But the Tier 1 is not specialized for the group. Okay.
I think if we just keep rolling, because I know poor Jamie's got to do this next.
Fine. I'll just say that's what I'm doing.
I want to just be able to point this out because one of the things that we really hyper-focused on is we had 2 targeted groups that we knew we needed to make an impact on, and it goes back to those level 2 students that aren't really receiving what I consider to be intervention. So we had Mr. DePadua and the math team really focused on grade 4 students. There were 69% of them that exceeded their math target objectives, and 39% increased in 1 full band to level 3 proficient. So that's roughly 20 students in grade 4. And, when we say targeted, once again, we got really creative. And we had a per diem sub that was, in addition to them receiving intervention that a math specialist would push in for, this particular sub that was with us would take them and do small group instruction that was focused on where their needs were. One of the things about all of this that we talk about is watching their confidence grow. The kids, once they begin to feel like, I can do this, it's like the ball gets rolling and their confidence goes through the roof. But then we did the same for our ELA students, and this was absolute magic. When I met with Carrie Leff, who's my math specialist, and she just showed me this grid of the kids that we kept track of. Look in the middle, everything's almost green. I mean, it was just, this was ELA. Yeah. So we did something similar. We had 16, 17 students that were in grade 4 and 5 that we knew we needed to get to. Grade 5, 71% of those either exceeded the growth target or achieved it. And then in grade 4, it was similar, 75% exceeded or achieved their growth target. Or in that particular case, they made significant progress towards it.
When you say increase one full band, what do you mean?
Yeah, so that goes back to Adrian's point. If I'm at a 1, I'm going to now be at a 2, if I've got an entire increase of a band. Yeah. But in this particular case, it wasn't, because they were already band 2 students. They were scoring a 2 on the SBAC assessment. They were probably in that band of kids that were close to proficiency. So they were able to make an entire 1-band leap.
Okay.
Yeah. It was exciting to track this. I think one of the things that I was so excited about is when I met with Anne Marie throughout the year, we were keeping track of the data. We were using DIBELS 3 times throughout the year. We were using the IABs, which the IABs are basically what I consider practice assessments. That's probably a very, watered down way of explaining that. But the students are exposed to assessments that will look similar to the SBAC assessment in ELA and math. So those we use as teaching tools, but we also are able to get a gauge at how kids are progressing. Where do we still need to provide instruction? Where do we feel kids need more help? That brings us up to today with the next slide, which is what Susan alluded to. We took the pillars that were our district improvement plan, and we basically mirrored those within our own school based on needs. So this is the academic target and the academic plan for this year. We have, if you look at it'll give you a descriptor on the side, ensure comprehensive standards aligned curricula for all students pre-K through grade 12. I'm just going to go down my school action steps, but this was vetted with our school team. Obviously, the administrators over the summer looked at scores, and we were able to see where we knew we were going to head. And then we pulled our school-based data team together, and we talked about where the needs are and what we need to do. But iReady is our new diagnostic testing platform for math. We know that already the teachers are using that really important information to talk about where can I make small groups for kids. That is where I always believe the meat of any instruction is, in small group.
How often do you do the iReady diagnostic testing?
I think Paul can probably speak more to this, but currently what we're using is really like a pre and a post assessment with our students per unit. But I'm going to let you talk about it.
No, and they're doing, kind of like 3 times a year they'll be screening with iReady. And then we are also mixing in like 45 minutes to an hour because it's adaptive and gives the kids practice and meets them where they're at. So we're working that into the math instruction too this year. And I think it's going well so far.
Yeah.
And this, I can add, this is taking on, we let Dreambox go.
Yeah.
And listen to the kids. And we felt that this was a better tool as a technology tool, and it gave us that 3 times a year, and also the pre and post. So we were really happy that it gave us so much more than we had gotten before.
Yeah, the main core curriculum is illustrative math. The district has a plan for that, and they are. The expectation is we're using a unit this year, but our teachers are all in. I think most of us can say that. So they are embracing that curriculum, and I think the idea of having this diagnostic tool, it provides so much information on a student as a profile that really helps teachers to kind of fine-tune, if you will. We're going to continue those 2 groups that we're going to target. We're going to look at targeting that level 2 band for both math and ELA. One of the things that as I meet with teachers for their evaluation and their growth plans, we have spent a lot of time talking about we're coming into the small group blocks. So when we have a win block, that is when...
Can you tell the community what that means?
Yeah, win really just means what I need. And it provides an opportunity for students to get individualized instruction, right? So we will have some of those students in a classroom for that 30 minutes. It's every day for 30 minutes. Some of them may receive remedial reading services, some may receive special education services, but then you've got probably 10 to 12 kids that are with a classroom teacher, and they provide WIN there too. So one of the things that we've talked about is when we come into that space, we want to see small group instruction. We want to see those kids, to Jennifer's point, that maybe are accelerated or need enrichment to be fed through a small group instruction as well. And then you may have some of those cuspy kids that are there that are in need of just that extra push. The other small group instruction takes place in math as well. We've got 2 specialists, and we have 1 tutor this year. And we've really built our schedule around the math block so that no math block overlaps another in terms of grade level. It just didn't work last year. So none of them will touch each other. That will provide those 3 staff members to push into every grade level for that 60-minute window of time. We have talked about and are moving towards some math groupings in 3, 4, 5, where when a teacher has a WIN block, we're looking at how do we group kids based on skill needs. And that could look like, if I'm next door to Mr. DePadua, he's teaching 5th grade as well. If we've got groups of kids that we share that we know these 4 kids need this, and these other 5 kids maybe need to be accelerated, we're looking at trying to create some of those groupings and pairings so that we can kind of cross across classrooms, so that we can better program for students and utilize that 30 minutes really well.
What's IAB stand for?
Yeah, that's that. It's the interim assessment block. Those are the assessments that students take roughly 5 to 6 times, maybe even more, throughout a year, and it's practice. It'll be it mirrors and looks like an SBAC assessment. Yeah, but the nice thing about them is you can take the curriculum and you can coordinate them. Where if I'm teaching a unit on fractions, I'm going to give an IAB on fractions, so that I can say, did the instruction that we provided have an impact on how they're going to experience these types of questions? And if not, then we go back and we try to find ways to accommodate. They really are. I know Jamie does the same thing. Yeah. And our specialist, ELA and math, they do a really nice job at taking that curriculum and saying, when we finish this unit, we really need to do an IAB here. I think one of the things that we've been really reflective on is how do we get back to it, though? So if we're teaching a unit on fractions and then I give an IAB and I know I've got 10, 15 kids across a grade level who are still struggling, how do I go back to it? Because the curriculum's going to tell me to keep moving forward on the pacing guide. So it really is, it goes back to what we talk about with that WIN block and how we're able to do small group instruction. Yeah. There's so many moving parts, like throughout your day.
The good news is their personal learning path, though, through the iReady will often pull them back in. Those systems, so.
To adapt to where they are.
Yeah. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I still say that the most impact on a student is the person in front of them. So I do agree that, iReady and the online digital platform has a placement, but nothing beats a teacher in front of a student providing instruction. Yeah. I think if we just kind of keep going down, many of these I've already touched upon, but we did talk about individual growth targets. Mr. DePadua and I met with all of our grade level teams, and we shared scores with grades 3, 4, 5, and we showed them growth targets. And we explained to them, like, if you've got, Paul is at this number, if you look at what his projected growth target is, let's say it's 90 points, that means he needs to be here when he takes the assessment. I think sharing that data with teachers is eye-opening, and it gives them a picture, it gives them a target to shoot for. The biggest question is, how do I get them there?
Yeah.
So it's, I feel like those IABs are a really nice dipstick, but now we've got this great diagnostic tool in math that is really helpful.
This would be like a philosophical question. Would our students do better in math if we had teachers that specialize in math?
Listen, I'm not going to talk for you, but I would say absolutely. We've talked about that. I feel like, Susan, you and I have really talked about that. It's a difficult go at the elementary level
But if you think about departmentalization, why would you not want a fifth grade group of kids to funnel through this teacher who's a specialist in math and can provide that?
We've
Yeah.
done departmentalizing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's sometimes hard with, though, to teach.
We have those,
The ELA.
we have those conversations. We just did this year with our 3, 4, 5, and they got their feet totally cold, right? Because what it comes down to is, how do I know where they are as a math student? What do I do when that parent comes in the conference and they're asking specific questions about math? I'm like, that's a great question. I mean, a parent wants to be able to sit with the person who's provided the instruction because they'll know, it's
The coaching
a little
is
bit
good,
tricky.
though. And I'm totally interrupting, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
I can wait till it's fine. But coaching, right? So like the specialists will go in and help model lessons is always great for the classroom teacher too, and they want that. They've invited them in. I know your specialists are amazing as
Yeah.
well. So that piece helps to get them those tools to know sort of what that verbiage is or the pedagogy that they need to be able to teach the new IM lessons, so the illustrative math lessons. So that's been helping. But sometimes it is exactly what you said, hard to
Sometimes the
departmentalize.
fifth graders are at a disadvantage, like if the district's set up where fifth grade is middle school, so those teachers now are like math specialists, and that's really all they teach. That happens at the fifth grade level sometimes.
Yeah.
You might have a math and science teacher just teaching math all day with the kids versus so much is required of our teachers, right? At the elementary level, they do a great job of, knowing everything. It's hard.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and I think Jamie has hit the head on the nail that it is that coaching piece. So we see a lot of times, because we are implementing a new curriculum, and they are using a new assessment diagnostic tool, but they will pair with our math specialist, and they'll actually co-teach. So those specialists are pushed into rooms, and they will take turns going back and forth. It's really nice to see, because if you are a teacher who, I don't want to say is skeptical, but, maybe math is you'd rather teach ELA.
Yeah, it's true.
But you've got a specialist in your room who is coaching you, egging you on. I see it. We see it all day long. And these folks come around. It's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. To be able to have that partner to go through. Ultimately, we're here to help kids.
Yeah, right.
That's it. The second half of mine, I promise Jamie can go.
Yeah, you're fine.
Is the second part of the school improvement plan is just our rich and vibrant learning community. This really takes a close look at our climate survey results. So what you see in front of you are just, I'm assuming, just a snapshot of some questions that we've looked at over time, but students were asked, if I'm sad, mad, or worried, is there a trusted adult who can help me? And then at my child's school, there are opportunities for parental and caregiver involvement. Those numbers are always high. One of the things that's really super important with that is we've partnered really nice with our PTO, and we offer 4 to 5 family evenings where families can come in to the school and they spend time with their kids, whether it be a reading night, whether it be Paul just hosted with our math specialist and Conn College students a math night with families that came in. Amazing. We had 100 families come in.
Yeah.
The other nice thing about that piece too is that we're working really hard this year with some grant money to provide 2 literacy evenings at Mystic River. And I'm working with Carrie Leff, our literacy specialist, and what we're going to do is offer one night that's really helping families to understand fluency. How do I get my kids, to be able to enjoy and read well? And then the second night is on comprehension. The idea is to get families to come in and take more of a hands-on approach, if you will. I feel like we get lots of families that say, how can I help? I don't know how to help my child when they come home at night. So that particular program in general is really focusing on fluency and comprehension. So we'll run 2 of those nights this year.
Is that with the Literacy How?
It's Literacy How,
So
yeah.
they're supporting us. They're a really very reputable group.
Yeah.
Is family night something different? Did you do it last year? Family night?
We did those 4 to 5 evenings last year too. We had a math evening, we did science evening, we did games night.
We had a reading evening. What's that?
Well, we had bingo.
Bingo, yeah, that's
Like
always
that,
the
yeah.
biggest one, yeah. There's no money involved, but they come out, they love it. Yeah, they love it. Yeah.
So the difference between this year and last year is what? As far as family night, the literacy?
I think literacy, how, yeah, we jumped on board with that. I think it was Anne Marie that probably shot it my way with an idea, but Carrie Leff and she's my literacy specialist, and my new librarian, Megan McKinney, we went down to North Haven and, got the initial training, but it really is about how do we help our families really truly understand how I can help my student become a better reader through fluency and comprehension. The grant comes with some money, so, it will provide families with books, too, that they'll take home, implement those strategies when they're with their kids at home, too. I'm excited about it.
How are you going to motivate families
Food.
to attend?
Yeah.
Food.
Is that something we
True.
could have on the calendar, so if any of us wanted to come? and
Absolutely.
visit? That would be
Absolutely.
a fun thing, when you talk about
Yeah.
community engagement, yeah.
Yeah. We have families are constantly asking us, how can I get in and help?
Yeah.
So it's just, our PTO has been really, we've got a really great community coordinator as well. We're going to be doing a day of play coming up, and, it's very structured, but we had a ton of volunteers asked to come in.
I'm sure you have families that you want to come to these things that may not attend. How do you go about trying to get them to come? Do you make a phone call and say, hey, Jamie, we really like to see you here tonight.
Yeah.
Your beautiful face, we're missing.
I love that question. It's a tough one to answer. Usually when I see the first 50 people come through, I'm like, these people don't even have to come tonight because they're working with their kids anyway. You always want the ones that probably want to be involved but just aren't sure what to do. Or maybe, I'm speaking for people, I'm just making up things, but maybe they've had an experience as a student themselves that they're just, still not sure about. But that's a great question.
Or they may be working.
Or they might be working. Or, more importantly, they have no way to get there.
Yeah, that's good.
Because that comes up for us an awful lot. We have folks on the city side of town that just can't get to the building.
Yeah, that's
And it's prevented kids from, our staff does a nice job of providing after-school enrichment activities that are paid with a stipend. And a lot of those are based around literacy and math. And those kids want to stay, but their parents can't commit to picking them up.
Yeah, that's always hard. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to quickly,
One more question.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have babysitting at these?
No.
No, okay.
But they bring their family, right?
Oh, they bring their family with them,
Yeah, so that don't mean.
No.
Yeah, we want them to be involved. But if we go to the next slide, it's just how we, as a building, are going to address, that community and climate piece. I'm just going to highlight some of the points here, but we have bought entirely into the zones of regulation. It's something that's not new by any means. We, like all the other elementary schools, do Second Step, which is a social and emotional curriculum that gets taught every week, and it takes kids through problem solving. If I'm outside and I'm at recess and I'm not picked for something, or I didn't catch a pass or whatever, how do I work through those scenarios? That's what Second Step does. But we really felt there was a need to have common language across the building, and zones of regulation, I feel, is going to give us that. So zones of regulation is really about how does everybody stay regulated throughout the day? And we're teaching the language of, the 4 zones, and they're all color coordinated. It's all throughout the building. And it's about, if I'm upset about something and I go from, a calm green to a hot red, how do I get back to a calm green or yellow? So we're really identifying behaviors that kids can themselves identify. Sometimes kids will identify a trigger, like this set me off. But the more important piece is, how do I come back from that? So that common language, they won't just hear it in a classroom. They'll hear it in the cafeteria, gym class, library, and so on. So we've invested money in that through Title I, and we've got training across everybody, paraprofessionals, and our certified staff. So that's something that we're really hoping is going to be a huge piece to their social emotional health.
Is this the first year you're doing this?
Yeah, we've always had zones of regulation, but it was more of like an intervention for students who really struggled behaviorally. This is for everybody. I mean, I don't have my badge with me. I probably could go through the day and tell you what color I am. It does, it just talks
Red all day.
it even, yeah, no.
Sorry. I'm all kidding.
But it does, it'll tell you some strategies that you can use. It prompts kids to, some kids don't want to hear it. So you got to wait them out until they're in a place where they can listen.
Yeah.
But it's all about visual versus talking. So it provides that opportunity. But we're going to continue with our lunch bunches, administrators, social and emotional tutors, and our mental health do this. Paul just had a lunch bunch today with a group of kids. That, for us, is that contact that we get with kids who really struggle, and it provides them with a connection. Mm-hmm. So we're going to continue with that. Mm-hmm. We have a student senate that one of our math specialists runs. Really nice job, gives voice to kids. We're even going to have them talk to us about some of our climate goals. We're going to pull them into our Safe School Climate Committee. They won't attend it, but we're going to ask them for input.
What grade level is that for?
It's 4th and 5th.
4th and 5th.
Yeah. We do meet with our para-educators monthly. That's something that we've implemented last year, but we are very steadfast to that so that they feel like they have a voice and they're part of our community as well. I think we listened to that in previous surveys. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the things the paraeducators were concerned about,
Yeah.
if they had a voice.
Yeah.
If, yeah, I'll stop there.
Yeah, I think one of the last pieces to talk about is attendance. It is something that we think of every day. Shira Sabo is one of our is our other assistant principal. She does a lot with our special ed students, but she has taken this on for her professional growth goal, and I've let her run with it. So she's really doing a nice job. But we conduct a weekly attendance meeting, and it's Shira. I usually attend as well because sometimes I need to report out at other meetings. But we've got mental health folks. We have regular ed teachers that are there, and we talk about kids. Who's in the red? Who are students that are basically chronic, and what do we do? What's the plan for them? Mm-hmm. We've reviewed constantly the Tier 1 strategies for attendance with our staff at faculty meetings. Goes back to staying connected with these kids, reaching out to families. Are you doing things that are encouraging kids to come to school? It's a little bit different at the elementary level because they can't drive themselves there. We've been doing peer mentoring, like I said, our lunch bunches, weekly newsletters Shira sends home, and then we make direct parent contact. One of the other things that we're starting this year is to have a VIP lunch table. So what we do is we draw on students that are consistently not chronic, or Shira wanted me to share with you today that we've had a handful of students that have started to come to school regularly, and they're no longer chronic.
Oh, good.
So we take those kids and we pull from them, and we're going to create a VIP table, and they can sit together in the cafeteria. Make a big deal about it.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what are your plans when you said you get together weekly or monthly and talk about the kids that are chronically?
Yeah, we do it every week. Every Friday we have these meetings, and it's usually the same kids we're talking about. But they will take turns. Like, I'm calling the mom this week. I'm calling this parent this week. And we do make sure that we make that personal contact with them. I feel like most of the times we talk with those families, they feel very badly. And we have to get to the root of why can't we get your child to school? Mm-hmm. So it's usually always a great answer as to why.
And what are the responses?
Well, I think sometimes if a parent is sick and they're struggling to get their child out of the house in the morning, the kid just doesn't come to school. Mm. Yeah. Mm. I mean, that's just an isolated example. Right. We also have a handful of families that I know Shira's already reached out to with Anne Marie. They're on vacation.
Yeah.
Like 2 and 3 weeks gone.
They'll go to other countries for months.
They'll be chronic for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's tough to get those. It's tough to be able to have parents understand that they need to be in school.
And then those kids are out for a month instead of 3 weeks. We have to try to bring them up to speed. How well do those kids do, generally speaking?
Yeah, I think it depends on who they are.
Yeah.
If they're one of these level 2 kids or level 1 student that receives special ed services, you know, that's tough.
Yeah.
Now that teacher is going to have to try to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff?
Okay. I don't know protocol, and sometimes I can be a meanie.
That's okay.
But if you're missing school for 3 weeks, can we just say like, oh, and for not like a good reason, right? Like going on vacation is not a good reason. Can we say your kid will just like stay behind or have the potential of staying behind?
I think it really does depend on the case. If it's a student who's really struggling, you know, I don't know that I've gone down that road.
I've had those
but,
conversations with people, but it's more of like, you know, it would be dependent and that kind of thing. I actually just worked with a family. I'm looking at Anne-Marie because great family, want to do the best they can, but they are going back and they would have been out about 35 days. So, right. So we did say, you know, work with them, and these are the different options you can do. They ended up actually withdrawing and homeschooling within that time because they said they would be. So there's different cases you can do, and then they want to make sure they get back into the same teacher's class, and we said, yes, you could do that kind of thing. But it's tricky because it depends on the student and how you have to catch them back up, but we deal with it quite a bit because I have another one going for 3 weeks, and they said, nope, we're not, you know, they won't withdraw, that kind of thing. So it's a tricky balance, but just continuing to keep them connected and trying the best you can to catch them up when they come back. So
I think just
know.
one point, and then I'm really going to let Jamie.
No, it's so
get
fun.
started here.
Yeah, no, it's great conversation.
Amy said next year she's going
It's great. I'll be fast because he said a lot. Yeah, really.
It's, I think parents are starting to understand, like, this is a big deal, and the district, this is an initiative. So there's a lot of messaging that goes on Parent Square. We do, you know, like I said, I go back to Shira making, you know, attendance matters, and this is what you can do as a family, and let us help you. Those messages go out on Parent Square. But then I do think, Jamie, to your point, if we're calling families directly, sometimes those conversations are tricky. They're a little uncomfortable, but I feel like that word gets out. Like, I'm getting phone calls because of this, you know, this, and this. And I feel like I'm hoping that that's going to have some impact and make folks really believe, like, you
We
know,
also have
you got to be
conferences coming.
involved in this.
So when you're sitting face to face and you're saying that this is impacting their teaching, their learning, that's pretty significant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anne-Marie, you finished it?
I'm all set.
Anne-Marie wants to say something.
I just want to say, you know, last year I worked with Mr. Wheeler and his whole team, Mr. Padua and Ms. Sabo. Really right from the start, I think it was one of the first meetings that I had. He shared with me that his goal was going to be working with, you know, specific populations of students, the Tier 2 students and also the English learners. He had that goal already set. And every time I went out and met with him and the rest of his team, he gave me an update on how these students were doing. He was very focused on this, you know, again, right from August or September, actually September when I started. And no one was more, I think, pleased, well, obviously his team, but me, when we saw the results. You know, we get the results back right away now when the students get the Smarter Balance Assessment. So we started seeing these results come in late May, early June. So we kind of had a preview of what this was going to look like. You're seeing it now, but we started seeing these, you know, late last spring, early summertime, and I was just so excited for him. I know at one point I went in and shared with Susan, you know, look at the hard work that this school did, really, really focused, and now you can see the results. So I'm just
great.
so pleased and excited for that school and that. Not only that leadership team, but obviously those teachers that did so much hard work and those students as well.
That's awesome. Yay! Good job. That's incredible. Good for you.
But I do want to also ask that if you're asking if there's needs, we do have needs. Like I will push that if we want to continue to flood students, you know, to Adrian's point, we need to be able to reach beyond just those level 2 kids. You know, meaning I want to feed those kids that are at or above, but I also want to take a look at those kids
who maybe are in red and they're receiving special ed services, to a high degree, but maybe it's not enough. If I was able to flood with more tutors, we could then target other populations of kids that we could bring in and say we tracked them in addition. I'd probably go straight to the kids that are in level 1 to really target. Think about it. If they're receiving, a pretty intense special ed service, and then they're getting tier 1 in their classroom, if I was able to flood them with something in addition, we'd be able to see that growth too.
Is this math tutors or?
Math and ELA.
Math and ELA.
Right now we have one math tutor. Yeah. I'm just putting that out there and, begging for building substitutes, as I'm sure Jamie will too. We have just too many,
it's a lot
we have
of
too
people
many
out.
paraprofessionals to cover. We have 50, and it's because of the programs that are at the school.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to cover.
Yeah.
Anything else you need?
Thank you.
Try hard.
All right. So thanks for, and how many tutors do we have dedicated to ELA and dedicated to math?
In the building now, we have one math tutor. What I alluded to was getting creative. Is we pull per diem subs in, Adrian, that we know that have a background. Either they've been a former teacher, or they've got, in one particular case, a math background. And we've pulled them to be able to work with these kids. They're not tutors.
So they're more or less
certified teachers.
They're
Previous certified teachers, yeah.
all right. So they're hired into the district as tutor subs.
As
Per
per
diem
diem
subs.
sub.
Oh, all right.
Substitute that would come to your school very
All right, just as,
frequently.
all right.
Yeah, if I know they're coming in, I'm going to make arrangements for them to be with groups that I need to have them.
great.
All right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So how about ELA tutors?
We don't have any. It's just that per diem sub that I'm able to do.
There's no ELA tutors?
You have interventionists,
Yeah.
so you have.
Oh, absolutely,
getting there.
Susan, yeah,
And-
yeah.
So do we have, I was under the understanding that the board set money aside to hire at least one additional tutor per school.
Yep,
Did that happen?
yep, that's our math tutor that's in.
So we had no tutors last year?
We have this.
So how many,
Adrian, let me back up. We do have SEL tutors. We have 3 of those.
Yeah.
Those are the social emotional tutors that we have. Yeah.
all right, well, yeah, I'm just asking about ELA and math. So how many certified staff do we have that are dedicated to support, like Tier 2, Tier 3 intervention for ELA and math?
1, 2, 4, 5.
Total?
No, total is, hang on a minute, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 2 in math and we have 5 in ELA. But the 5 in ELA, 1 is a specialist, and then 1 is a part-time. It's a 0.6 staff member that works primarily with students that fit a profile of dyslexia.
Yeah.
Basically she's providing a Wilson-based program for kids that we've identified that are in need of something else than what they're receiving in remedial reading. It's because their profile is a reader.
All right.
Yeah. She's in 3 days a week.
All right, so, yeah. So if we go back to, can we go back to slide 5? I just did some quick numbers here, and this is, so when we're talking about, students at or above benchmark, I kind of extrapolated some of these numbers out. So roughly, if we go to ELA, 56% of the students, I know this is 4, 5, or 3, 4, and 5, but if we kind of extrapolate out to the whole school, like take that average and assume that's the whole school, we have 56% of 509 students are below. So that's 285 students that are below benchmark. In our support, what the district has chosen to support is no tutors, like some subs hiring in, and 5 ELA specialists. So my concern here is that we really aren't giving extra support to the classroom teachers. We have 285 kids that need more than the classroom teacher can really do. And maybe it's a little bit less than that, because maybe there's some, like we talked about on the next page, there's some students that are pretty close to meeting benchmark. But there are a lot of students that aren't anywhere close to meeting benchmark. We don't have nearly enough support staff. I know we talked about, one more tutor. I thought we had more tutors in general in the building, so that's a little bit upsetting to me, because these numbers are pretty upsetting. Like 37% of our third graders are currently at benchmark. That is, it's troubling, because we know statistically, if a third grader is below average or below benchmark on ELA, they're likely to struggle in school for their entire career. So, that's just a statistic. But these are more than statistics. These are actual students. So it's bothersome. And I realize the budgets that we're under and how upsetting, and I appreciate everything that you're doing, with your steps. I guess, as a board, I would like to know, a board member, I would like to know what more we can do to support you. So do we need more certified staff? Because it does, or certified staff or tutors.
Well, he said he needs more tutors. He already told us that.
Well, and maybe certified staff, because, so we don't have any certified staff, and, we have 2 in math.
We have
for
2
support,
math
we're
specialists,
talking about.
Yeah, but
But we're talking about, so there's 295 students in math that are below benchmark, and we have 2 math support staff, certified staff, to support them. To me, there seems to be an imbalance here, and I feel like the board, your hands are tied because of staffing to some extent. At least that's the way I see it by looking at these numbers. Hopefully we can do more for you in the future. But I would like to also talk about, if we look at the I guess I'll go to the Smarter Balance. I've got Ed's site up, and I want to congratulate you when we talk about the growth target in math, because last year in 23-24 it was 61. Is that a percentage, the way they talk about that? It's out of 100.
Percentile.
Yeah, and we went up to 73. So that's a huge increase. And that, I know we were talking about that, and I want to commend you on that, because that is great. In most of the other numbers on Ed's site, it seems like we're relatively flat year over year. And to be fair, I'm looking at the state numbers, we're pretty much at about state average also. So I do want to say, so these numbers are upsettingly low. Not your staff's fault, in my opinion. It's probably staffing in a total. But it's kind of flat year over year, in ELA and math. I guess my other thing, trusted adult, from the survey, trusted adult has been going up and up year over year. And it seemed like it was, it's been increasing a lot over the last years, probably since COVID. Do we have any idea why it went down a little bit, why it took a little bit of a dip?
It's been very frustrating to think about that. We certainly have things in place for that. I don't know.
We were surprised, honestly, like that. When I see some math data, I'm like, oh, I expected that, or we work hard with the relationship piece. Our staff is tremendous with the kids, and some of those math nights, Mr. Wheeler does like a principal of the day. We have a couple of kids spend a day in the office with us, and I feel like the morale's pretty high. I have trouble with that. I almost feel like if we had that question asked again or in a different way, I feel like that would be a higher number. Some of the academics I can't argue with, because that's kind of what we expected from what we see throughout the year, but I thought that number was low when we looked at the survey compared to how it feels in the building with the kids.
Right.
Truthfully,
We had 2 SEL tutors, behavior tutors, that we were working with, and we went to Susan and said, it's just not enough. So we talked about looking into Title I money. That's what we did. That's how I was able to fund a 3rd one. And one of the things that we do religiously is they have meetings every single week, and they have a small caseload of kids that are kids that they check in with. So these are kids that they see every day. They get them off the bus, they talk to them in the morning, they see them during the day, and then they talk to them before they go home at night. So we do know that there's a big targeted group of kids who we consider need us that are connected to our SEL tutors. So we, like what Paul was saying, when I saw that number go down, I couldn't figure it out. I feel like we flood them so much, but maybe it's a hyper focus on students that really need us, and then we're looking at some other kids that we feel they look okay to us. They may not necessarily share things with us, but they need us too. So it could be that.
Mike, you have a question?
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just bundle my questions. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for your efforts in improving and the math growth is very encouraging. I like to see that for sure. So I think I have 4 kind of questions. One, Adrian mentioned the Ed site webpage, and one, I was wondering if after both presentations, after this main presentation is done, we just pull that up, because I think it's really valuable to see that comparison that Adrian was talking about between our schools and the state. So that's one. The other one is in the bar charts that we're seeing on the state website, they talk about the school performance index for math or ELA, for instance. Are these charts something different from that, because the numbers are different? And then, that's my second one. My third one is it fair to compare Mystic River's scores straight to Thames River's scores, or is there an expected bias based on the student cohort or the composition of the overall school that I should be kind of factoring in? Because, a lot of scores are very similar. In some cases, Mystic River's higher. In some cases, actually, a couple more cases, Thames River's higher. And then my last one is about the absence. It's grown from last year to this one, and I can see you're taking the right approaches and really interacting with the families to help bring that down, but it's not gone down. Is there some next level of intervention that school systems have tried? I'm asking that because it seems like the state levels are going down, look lower over time. So my 4 things were, at the end, can we do Ed site, website for Mystic River and Thames? 2, school performance index is on the Ed site, but what are these bar charts in? Number 3 is it fair to just straight up compare Mystic River to Thames River in terms of scores? And 4, what can we do next level to help with absence rates?
I can go if you want me to do the comparison. Okay, so I'd love to start, if that's okay. Yeah. So our enrollment actually this year is lower than we've ever had, but I know it's going to go up because we do get our
Hold on.
Sorry.
I had some Mystic River questions there.
Oh, my fault. I'm so sorry. I thought you had just 4. My apologies.
I'm going to go back to the attendance question that you had. For sure. We look at our scores where we are now currently. Obviously the intention for us is to look at where we're at and end the year at a much lower rate. So that is what our goal is. I think, my short answer is what this comes down to is identifying individual families and finding a way to help them get their kid to school. I do feel like it's a little trickier with the elementary level because they're reliant on an adult to get them to the building or to a bus stop. I feel like for me it's about why are they not getting there? And by meeting weekly with our team, we're able to kind of drill down. It could be as simple as a parent is sleeping and can't get the child to the bus stop. That has happened a couple of times. But, for us, we've got to be able to say what is the actual problem for each individual family, and then how can we address it? I don't know if that answers your question right away, but that is our plan moving forward. I think the other thing that's changed for us this year is we are meeting weekly with our school-based team and we are really drilling into where are we at now, and how are we able to decrease our chronic absenteeism. I feel like that's a really hyper-focus this year. We weren't at that level last year.
Yeah, and in 2023, from 2023 to 2024, you went down significantly a lot, so.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I think it's always how you start the year and then where you end, too. Yeah.
And then the bar charts, are they not in that school performance index? Something different?
So I think he's talking about the index rating that a school gets versus, scores that we get with SBAC assessments. The index rating is something different. I think it's based on your overall performance. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but the bars that you see in it is really the proficiency levels of what students are performing, level 3 and level 4. But individual, probably buildings in individual districts receive an index rating. That is different.
We have not received the accountability index at this point. That usually comes around December, end of December.
I think they're all up online, for the schools at least, but the school performance index at least. And then the last one that's, I guess it's sort of school specific. Is it fair to straight up compare Mystic River to Thames River, or is there like a, I know that each has different programs that might influence scores.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would have to say the answer is no. When you look at all 5 elementaries, there is no way I would want you to compare me to NEA. Because it's a very different school, and it's a very different population of students. I think one of the things that I'm very, very mindful about is I religiously, per month, I get into Power School, and I pull my stats. And, we at Mystic River have a lot of high percentages. Usually it's a high level of free and reduced lunch. Our special ed population is close to 34% now. Now, we do house the ABA program, and we have preschool. So those numbers are there. But just our kindergarten through 5th grade, I really look at, is our SPED population increasing? Sometimes it's just who moves in.
Yeah.
This year in particular, we've had almost 10 families move in, and almost every one of them was a special ed student.
Similar.
So it's just, those are things that we have to look at. I think it's also where you're pulling kids. You look at the, what is my home school? It is truly a melting pot. We pull from down by where Adrian lives to all the way on the city side of town. Paquonic Bridge as well. So I feel like we are a true melting pot versus maybe some of the other schools, they're pulling more around closer to their buildings. So
I don't think we should be comparing schools.
I don't think you can do that.
No, but if you do look, our makeup, if you see our free reduced lunch for, I'm pointing.
We are very
for Thames,
similar, Jamie.
we have 24% SPED, and then obviously our ELA population is, I think it was 3% lower than your population. So, as far as makeup is concerned, if you look at that, Mike, I just am looking at that now. If you go back to Mystics, we are very similar, and we do have a high level of need. And in our 3, 4, 5, we had over 55 SPED students taking the assessment. So I do feel like we kind of are similar. Obviously, there's differences. One thing that's not up on Thames right now is 30% military. So we have a huge military population, which is impacting to our attendance, actually. But we're working hard, and we're starting strong this year because we also had that dip, which was amazing. And we're hoping to go back to that dip. It's actually a goal of mine to get back to that 14%, hopefully, this coming school year, because we did increase. But just to your point, I think we pretty much, obviously within a few percentages, but I think we are similar in some aspects, but it's hard to mirror every school, not every school can be the same. So I hope that sort of answered that a little bit. So this is Thames. Okay, great, thanks. So as I said, our school enrollment this year is a little bit lower than we normally have, but we will increase. We just got 2 new students, thankfully, today, which is great. 2 military students that came from Texas. Yay, we welcome them right into the school. We have our academy programs at our school. We have 2 TK programs as well. We had one always at our school, but then now we have another full-day TK, which is exciting to have, so they can collaborate together. And that's always nice. So, but we do have the 2 district programs because we also get new students that come in for those 2 academy programs.
Can you describe the academy?
Sure, it's the behavioral, social, emotional need for the district for kindergarten and first grade classroom, and then second and third. And our second and third is very packed right now with students, and we're trying to flood them as much as we can with as much support as we can. So. Amazing teachers, amazing social workers that are in there that are super excited to help those students. So we're blessed to have those. Our theme, so we are our marine and environmental. Last year we were able to have Project Doe. We were actually one of the first schools, if not the school, to have an educator on site for the year for 2 days a week. So we were excited for that. This year we reduced down to 1 day funding. But the good news is our magnet coordinator, Emma Rotner, is able to kind of bolster the enrichment part on Tuesdays when she's here. So though we only have them on Thursdays this year, which is still amazing, she's able to kind of get that enrichment going for Tuesdays for our students with that marine and environmental theme. We also partner with Mystic Aquarium. They're doing in-school programs. Last year they sort of continued the Terrific Turtle, being our turtles. But this year we're having our grade levels pick which program they want to really go ahead with their science units. We do our action project through Project Doe. We have our field trips with them. And we also have NASA New England Science and Sailing grant that they did, and it's really great because they pay for the busing. Very exciting. So that's good with our field trips. 2 other things that we're doing this year, and I can talk to it when we get to the science, but I can just tell you now, because it's 2 other grants. Our grade 5 got a Be Wet grant, which is the Bay Watershed educational training. We did it our first year. We got another one this year, and the good news on it is it's talking about fishery over time. So we're partnered with Mashantucket Pequot and with Project Doe, and our kids went out on fishing trips. Really cool. And then it's professional development for our teachers. And then for grade 4, they're working for Long Island Sound, like the ecology for that. The kids haven't gone out yet, but the teachers went for some professional development, and we're out there with our waders on in the water, learning as much as they can about the environmental piece of Long Island Sound so they can bring it back to the kids. So just some cool stuff. And we're continuing with our recycling, so keep that plastic coming if you have your plastic bags. Seriously, we're almost ready for our second 1,000-pound challenge. So.
Do you ever bring your students down to the marine science high school?
So,
they have that big room.
Yeah, they do. I know. Yeah, I know. The first one I saw, I was like, is there a dolphin in there? It's pretty incredible. We've gone down as teachers to see it. We've tried to start partnering. It just hasn't, it's one of these where I've talked to Tara, the principal, who's amazing. We just haven't had a chance to get down and make that connection. Some of their honor roll, like the Honor Society students have come up and been like really nice high school leaders for them, but we just haven't had our kids go down because they do have their coral and they're growing fish to be able to sell to restaurants. So I know we just haven't had it. It just hasn't happened. So, but it is a goal.
Can help you with that.
Yeah. It's a stone throw.
Yes,
completely.
Yeah.
I know. We just haven't done it yet. Yeah, it's a to-do. Thanks. Does Lauren want to switch? Okay. Yeah. So we had some, obviously, so we still have some growing to do, of course, but we did have some great highlights. Our 3rd grade, as we were saying, and I know, Adrian, you were saying that with Mystic, too, did take a big dip. And we looked closely at that. We worked with our grade 3 teachers this year who were like, Jen, we can't believe it, because it is one of these where they're constantly working all the time with it. So it was a huge dip in both ELA and math, so we're flooding that. We've already started our coaching with it. But I did want to highlight some things we're super proud of. Our cohort that went from 4 to 5 increased plus 18%. So in ELA, we also had an increase from 3 to 4, so we had a 3% increase on that. Our cohort, that's not really, but it's the grade 4 to 4, had a plus 16% increase in ELA, so we were really happy with that. One thing I wanted to highlight as well is we had our grades 3, 4, 5, so 23, 24, 25, they had a plus 17% ELA jump, so we were really super excited about that. Now we have a little bit more work to do. We did have just smaller increases from 4 to 5 with a plus 3%, and then our 4 to 4 grade levels increased +6. So we are working hard, though, to get those scores up in our grade 3, which will be our cohort to grade 4. But I actually met with grade 3 team today. We're talking about just different ways to be able to help students when they're coming into grade 3 understand the IEBs, because that was something that they didn't get when they first started it. And we did one already this year. Work in progress. They're getting used to those questions. We're trying to build fluency, math fluency with them as well, so they're able to sort of move into what the actual problem is asking, as opposed to really sitting going, oh gosh, what is, 3 times 2? So, just some things. I can keep going unless you want to stop me. Okay. The next slide was one that obviously Steve really highlighted as well. We do flood our students with our MTSS, so the multi-tiered interventions. But one thing we do is we do know these students right away who are the cusps. And our literacy team and math team go into classrooms in the beginning when we haven't first fully pulled, when they're in the middle of their testing for dibbles or when they're doing the different diagnostic for the iReady, and they're already targeting these kids who are cuspy and giving them those small group supports. One thing we did last year, and I was just so thrilled to be able to do it, and it speaks to students who don't get pulled for intervention, but our literacy specialist was able to pull and rotate through students who just need help with understanding what the question is and getting them to a different level with it. So they might not have full-on intervention, but she was taking them in small group to delve into what the question's actually being asked. So that was helpful, and we think that might be another reason why we had that nice jump in ELA. I did follow a group of students. I was very excited through MTSS, because that's a huge goal of mine as well, for grades 3, 4, and 5, though they might have not gotten a 3 or 4 on the SBAC, but they all made high growth, except for one. And that one just had other impacting factors, one of which was attendance. We had lots of meetings. I know. Yeah, it really was. But we worked hard with this student, and we got him to come to school at least. So that was a plus. So. But we did move a lot of kids out of intervention. So we had 65 at the beginning of the year in intervention, down to 29 that were exited out, which was really great in ELA. And then we started with 50 students at the beginning of the year getting math intervention. And by the end of the year, we had 24. So I was really excited for that. And that's grade 2, 4, and 5. So stop me if I'm going too fast. I'm trying. Science. So obviously we do a lot with science. And we love science. Kids love science. One thing, and Steve talked about it too, the mystery science, this was another thing we met with Ben already this year. And that mystery science has been a consistent curriculum now for students. Kids love it, teachers love it, it's hands-on, it's a progression, it gives assessments. So it is something that's a common. So that was one thing we're like, gosh, we really did see a nice jump in our science scores, and very happy about it. One thing, too, that we did, and I can talk about it as we continue. So if you go to the next slide, it actually is about science as well, I think. Lauren? Yeah. So we really focused in on a 2-year goal of discourse and talking about science in different capacities, though, and showing their work through their notebooks or in just those conversations, and that we think helped a lot. So if you look at the different levels and how we did in 23 to 24, we really grew those students that were at or above. And so through that too, with the, developing the models and using those science notebooks, they not only did them in their science lessons for mystery science, but they also did it when they would come out of their Project O classes or the NEST work. They would go and talk about it further and write about it in their science notebooks. Another real quick thing, and I'm probably going to talk about it again when we get to science, but we also had Project O join our instructional data teams that we met with for science. So Project O was there to hear it, and then they were able to incorporate the NGSS standards into their lessons that they taught on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they're continuing that already. We met with Ben, and I also have Emma now coming in, our magnet coordinator, into those instructional data team, so she can also hear and use it in the enrichment classes that she's going to be doing. So, yeah. Go ahead.
Is this okay?
Yes, go ahead.
You can tell that being a science-focused school, your science grades, no offense, but it's like leaps and bounds higher, right? So, like getting that indoctrination from since kindergarten to where they are 3rd to 5th grade, where you start 5th grade, where you start assessing them, you could see, at least my non-professional way, but you could see that it makes an
Yeah.
impact.
We-
So
yes.
kudos. Like,
Thank you.
I'm just hearing those science terms, understanding it, you could see it. Like,
Excellent, yeah.
Like, so, and then seeing the green expand, that's amazing,
Yeah.
right? Because, and then lowering the red,
Yeah.
you know, so that's like great improvement
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, and the mystery science, as I said, does give like an access point for every student because it's visual too. They have, and we've been really focusing on in when students, if they get pulled out during a science instruction, because sometimes our special ed students, there's not another time for them to come out, we say, please try and incorporate science into that, and they do. I mean, as I said, students love it, but sometimes it's just that vocab piece because it does become a reading assessment. So, yeah, thank you. Alrighty, so I want to put a big, these are some, right, of the strategies that we're doing. I broke down ELA into two sort of sections for you, one of which is listening comprehension. That's an area if you break down our SBAC scores, that come up always as an area of need. And we sort of drilled down a little bit to say, why? Some of the time it's the setup or the person doing the talking of the listening comprehension. It's not really exciting. And so a student may zone that out or not understand. I have to listen, then I got to go back to the questions, and I have to read. It's a lot of the test-taking piece. Our literacy team, though, this year, it's incredible. They made listening comp that are not exciting, so it's good, right? They have been doing them, but they're also connected to wit and wisdom. So they're using right now, like grade 5 is doing a Nez Perce Native, American unit. They did a listening comp, so people can pull them into small group and use that to practice the listening comp. So little ways to target it.
Is it audio?
Yes, they have to listen to it and then answer questions. And sometimes it's like the most minute thing that they ask, and truly, they're challenging to do.
Sometimes it's intentional.
That's exactly what it is, and that perseverance through to then go back and say, okay, wait, what did I just hear? And you can re-listen. It's a matter of them doing it. So it's a lot of practice on that. So the other one is fluency. So that's a real goal of ours for 2 years in a row. We've used our DIBELS, our oral reading fluency. When we did DIBELS last year, it was sort of that new assessment for 4 and 5. So we do have our lit teams that come in and are really working on small group or fluency. And then they trained the teachers also in what that actually looks like in helping with that fluency piece. To help build comprehension, right? Is the overall goal.
Can I go
Yeah,
back to the
please.
listening?
Yes.
Is that, what grades for that?
3, 4, 5.
3, 4,
Yeah.
5.
Yep.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, sure. For math, again, I only pulled a few of the things that came out. We've talked, obviously, about the personalized learning path through iReady, and all tiers of learners are doing that. We've been pulling those when we meet in intervention groups, or rather, intervention team meetings and instructional data team meetings, to look and see where students are in their learning path and see where their targets are. We also are doing tiered grouping. What's really cool about it is that through the learning path you can see, and they group students for you, which is helpful, and then it can give different strategies for teachers to use if they can get to it in small group, and our tutors are actually using those lessons as well, which is helpful for those groupings. So, and then both for ELA and math. So we're doing ongoing SBAC style questions. So even in our assessments, we'll throw an SBAC style question on there just so they can continue with that wording. And obviously during different units, they've been just putting up warm-ups, and I'm using SBAC style questions. So IEBs, Steve talked at length about those IEBs. We've already taken them. They finished a volume unit, did the IEB in volume to see how they're doing with those. They're 15 questions, so they're not long, but you can get a lot out of it to see, okay, where are the misconceptions, because we'll look at the questions once they're done and see how they answered it, or the top questions that students may be having a real hard time with. Sometimes it's not a surprise if it's like a 2-part question. They forgot the second part, or, that kind of thing. So we have to go back and really think about what the wording is.
Can you give me an example of the question?
Of course you would ask that. Honestly, I can't even think of an actual question, but what they'll do is you have to pick all of the ones that make a statement true. And it's like a math, number sentence. And it's wild. It might just be a shift of parenthesis. It's not awful. I can't even think of a question, but it's, yeah. You have to pick all of them that could make it. So they might not pick all of them, and they only get like 1 point. You know what I mean?
I was just talking
Yeah.
about that with Paul. So when they're taking the SBAC assessment, if they have a two-part question, they only answer one part, it's wrong.
No.
Whole thing.
Yeah.
You may,
Yeah.
They don't get credit for the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I
if you're
know.
working on a cube, it may have you like get the area of a side, and then the kids would have to use that and figure out, hey, the cube has 6 sides, you know, and the kids sometimes can't see it all the way through.
Right.
They'll think, I've already answered that, I know I've got this right.
100%. Yep, done. Yeah. And it is a 1 pointer or something, yeah.
You find that a lot with the two-part questions that they
They
don't
do,
answer?
yeah. I think the teachers, that's very frustrating because they teach that to nausea,
Yeah,
Jamie, right?
yeah.
Where you're really looking at what is the question asking you. You got 2 parts here.
Yeah.
And I think they even just say out loud, if you don't answer both, you're going to get the whole thing.
Yeah. They'll then flash some of those back up like the next day to say, okay, let's talk about this problem.
Yeah.
So to say, like, what do you see? What are you going to do? That kind of thing, just to put it back into, the practice piece. So, pacing guide. So we basically made a whole calendar and pacing guide, even though obviously the district has them. We wanted to make sure that we had it with like themes events. So if we had a fall field day, we know you're going to miss that day. So how can we make sure we're still on pacing? So we made those calendars. And then on that assessment calendar, we put all of the, IEBs. Obviously might get bumped, but we're going to try and not and really protect those days. So we have them already on our calendar. And then we have our cycle within too, those MTSS cycle meetings, all on that, so it keeps us nice and organized as best as we can until there's like a snow day or something, and then we have to shift the whole thing up. And then I've just been talking at length about our intervention, but we really are trying, keeping that. I have even on our early dismissal, our intervention blocks are protected, and we make sure that they get those interventions in. And it's K-5, though we push into the Ks as opposed to pulling out at this point. We pull out for Ks usually like January.
With this MTSS thing?
Multi-tiered support system. Yeah, it's like the SRBI now. And then we meet, right, after each cycle. We have 3 cycles. And we don't just meet, though, in math and ELA. We definitely give interventions also in speech and in any kind of SEL supports. I actually just had an intervention team meeting on a student who really just needed that social-emotional connect and how are we going to meet it. We also have attendance IT meetings and how we're going to support a student who is struggling to get to school. So that's that. All right. Oh, science. I did a whole little slide on science. I've been talking about it, though, so I don't know. I think I talked about it. Yeah, I did. I talked about how we meet with Ben, and our one thing, though, that's been really excellent is they did finish the district assessments for 3, 4, and 5 that are science. So we are excited this year to have all of those grade levels taking the district assessments, and then we're going to be able to get together and look at those and see where, again, how our students are answering those at our instructional data team meetings. For K-2, though, because we said, okay, that's 3, 4, 5, but what about K-2? We're using, what's nice is the Mystery Science have the performance tasks that we're going to track this year. So, and then I already talked about our increased enrichment with our magnet coordinator, and then our connections that we have with our different partners. So, and then I already talked about our BWET grant and our grade 4 Long Island Sound. So, climate. So we did take a tinge of a dip, too, on our trusted adult, which we were so bummed because we do so much. We name our trusted adult. We have them write letters to our trusted adult. We have lunches. So it's one of these. And one thing that happens sometimes is when they take the survey, if they are having a bummer day, you have to know our littles are like, oh, well, I had a Band-Aid. I had a really bad day. Right, you know what I mean? It's one of these, so it might dip it. We're hoping anyway that could be the reason because we do a ton with our trusted adult. We do flooded what actually is a trusted adult. We do lessons about that. Our social worker does it. So, we were bummed about that tiny dip as well. One thing we did last year that was really good was a mid-year survey. So we created that for our school to then look at that to say, okay, how are we doing with it? So we're hoping to continue to do that this year as well. Parent volunteers, yes. Similar to Steve, we have people who want to volunteer, but might not come to PTO meeting, but we have opportunities such as, like in the summertime, we even have people come and volunteer in the garden and water the garden and, weed the garden and things like that. So we provide those opportunities, and there's a nice sign up through Parent Square that they can do. So we actually just did it for our parent conferences, so, yeah.
Why do you think parents don't join the PTO? I guess?
It's interesting. I've had, ever since the 16 years I've been here, we have a lot of people who help. But the meeting itself, whether it's intimidating to them, I don't know, or like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, or what does it mean, even though we reassure them it's okay, just come and hear it. I don't know. It's wild, but I always have thankfully, a really good core group of my PTO that help and then, put out the word, and then we always get that support coming in. So, but I don't know. It's, yeah.
But they do help.
Yeah. It's interesting. I know. They do. We always get people to help if they want to. They just don't come to the meeting, Yeah. The last one. So we did see a nice jump, and we were happy with that. We've been asking paras and non-cert staff, what is it you would like to have on those TLI days? And so our AP, similar to what Steve was saying, Ada and Amber will meet with them on every TLI day. And then last year, our social worker went in and provided some professional development on what restorative practices are, and then did a follow-up with some scenarios that they brought with them as far as, okay, what would I do in this circumstance? So that was helpful to be able to meet the need of what they might want. So they found that sometimes, on those modules, when it's on the computer, they're not getting as much out of it, as opposed to obviously that personal sort of question back and forth of what do I do now in this circumstance when I'm in the trenches. So. Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. And then the last slide. So the one thing I do want to highlight on this one, I think I've talked about a lot of the others, but our peer leadership. So we've always had students who help in different younger classrooms, so our 4th and 5th graders. But this year we really said, let's increase it because we have had a need of students who either really they benefit themselves from having a connect with the younger students, or our younger students, who I love to have those 4th and 5th graders. This year we have 70 students who signed up to, I know, really excited. I know. At first we were like, geez, what are we going to do? But we are able to meet them, whether it's T1, trimester 1, trimester 2, trimester 3. But we met with every single one of them saying, don't worry, you're going to be a bus leader, or, on trimester 2. And let them know that it's coming. We're going to then offer more opportunity for those students who may come in new. We had a new 5th grader this year. We want to make sure she gets an opportunity to be a leader, so she'll sign up again in trimester 2. But we have literacy leaders. It's absolutely adorable. They go into grade 1 classrooms. They're assigned to it. They're working with students with learning their letters and reading stories with them and being a literacy leader for them. Our math mentors, morning announcers. So our safety patrol is really breakfast buddies. We just have to rename it. We renamed it to Breakfast Buddies. They help kindergartners open their milks, and they walk them to class. And yeah, it's the kindergarten, they love it. The 4th and 5th graders love it too. So we're going to obtain student input, similar to what Steve was saying. We're going to keep with our survey, but we're also going to bring that group together to say, what do you think? How can we increase trusted adult? Or also the other one that last year was using kind words. That was a real focus for us that we want to continue to do. And then obviously we are going to continue with the trusted adult and teaching that. Meg Bishop, amazing social worker that I had, taught grade levels. I think actually, Emery, you came to the school and she was doing that literally about what does it mean to be a trusted adult, and also that start with hello, as far as just how do you make a friend and what could you just start with hello that whole week. So she did that for each of the grade levels. And then we're bolstering our different events that we're having for parents. We had one at the beginning of the year. It's a back to school night, but it was back to school inside and out. So we highlighted our outside space. And we also had our community partners come. Bill Memorial Library came, which was nice. Park and Rec came, those kind of things. And it just so happened when we had our turtle hatching, it was incredible. We had these snapping turtles. I sent it. And they were in the garden, so we had to be like, caution cone, don't step anywhere. But it was the students were, Miss Giordano, there's turtles. And I'm like, I know.
Just came to visit because they knew your school loved turtles.
Can you get over that, little baby snappers? It was wild. So anyway, I know. So we're going to increase our nights. We're still going to have our TRMS night. It stands for themes, reading, math, and science. We have our plant sale. We have Val Tutson coming, an amazing storyteller in January. She's going to come and do a storytelling night with like PJs and Coco, the whole exciting thing. Hopefully we'll have a lot. We went back to our belong statement for our monthly themes. So belong is our overall mission statement. It stands for believe in yourselves, engage and explore, love for each other, open your minds and heart, never give up, and grow together. And so we're going back to that for our monthly themes. And then, yes, monitoring attendance. So similar to Steve, I just had my weekly one today, and we hone in on, okay, who do we need to meet on next? How are we doing? Why is there absenteeism? Our nurse comes, secretary comes. We have our school psychologist, our special ed teachers. So we have a whole team coming and talking about that. We've increased our check-in, check-out with teachers. We're up to about 10 teachers who are ready to go to check in and check out with students during the day we're excited you're here. We had a welcome party the other day outside to get kids excited to come. So, and that's it. And I tried to go really fast.
Do you have any questions?
Well, to go back to kind of the same questions for Steve.
Okay.
How many tutors do you have in ELA and math?
So I don't have any in ELA. I have one literacy specialist, and then I have 3 literacy interventionists, and then I have 2 math specialists and 2 math tutors.
You have 2 math tutors?
Yeah.
So I was just looking back at the budget, and we approved 2 tutors for every school, plus there should be another $40,000 for every school, so really it should be 3 tutors. Like, at a minimum, I would like to think, but we should have the money in the budget, so I'm not sure why we don't have that many.
Are you saying the additional tutor that you added?
Yeah, we added $200,000, so I was just looking, we had in the budget 2 tutors per school, and then we added $200,000, which I don't think made it back into those numbers for the staff numbers, but it increased the budget line.
I don't remember.
I know.
But I
You
would,
have
We would
the
always-
SEL tutors that some.
Yeah, I have 2 SEL. That was the same. I'm just trying to think about that, but
maybe that's where
that wasn't an increase, though. I had 2 last year, too.
I think we increased 1 for sure.
I have 1 more math tutor. So last year I only had 1
last
math tutor, so I had 1 more math tutor this year.
yeah, actually in the counts, maybe I was, in the sheet it says, it doesn't say SEL, it just says numbers of tutors for the
Yeah, I
counts.
do 1 through title. Yeah.
So, and then for scores, I'll say that, similar,
Yep.
we had some gains,
Yep.
specifically in math. It was very similar. I have the same concerns with the numbers of students that really need extra help and that we have the staff to support that.
Yeah.
What would you need, Amy?
So it's interesting because math is definitely a need for us. My literacy, I feel like, if you want to get more, that'd be amazing. But right now it would be math. And I think it's because, obviously, our scores, but also with the new programs. And it is one of these where a lot of the times my math tutors are being pulled. And I feel horrible, but I can't leave people uncovered, basically, because of our attendance. So I do feel like that's an area where we could use, I would love an interventionist as opposed to a tutor for math. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but it's true. Yeah, tutor would be phenomenal, but a lot of the times an interventionist, somebody who's really math focused. Yeah. Because I don't have...
And you wouldn't pull them, yeah.
Well, yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
And that would be like their full-on focus. Though I have incredible tutors, but it's a math interventionist, similar to literacy interventionists who I don't know how I'd live without them. That would be amazing. So that would be something that would be a dream list.
So ELA and support staff, you only have 1?
I don't have a tutor at all in ELA.
No, not tutors, but support certified staff.
I have 2 math specialists.
But for ELA,
I have 1 literacy specialist, 3 interventionists.
all right, so you have 4 total. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
As a former parent who has a kid in school, like I could tell you why I don't join PTO or why I don't. But I would be that person that would come to volunteer.
Yeah.
Because time is limited, right? And to go and sit in on a meeting where you're planning and not doing, rather spend that time with your child. But then when the event is already planned and you have to show up and do something in support of the school that your child's in, you're there.
Yeah.
So,
It's
you know,
100%.
So that's just a
Yeah,
perspective. It
yeah.
may not be like, oh, we hate the PTO or we don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like time is important.
100%. I get it.
So that's how I see it. Well, guilty as charged. We said it last year, right? Like when the budget season is starting, you know, those probably Rita's coming out with her sheets and stuff. Just put what you need, and we'll you know, in Susan's budget, and we'll try. And the only thing we can do is say that we will try our best to
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
So.
Can I just pick your brain for a second? Because the board would like to have a data dashboard. What would you suggest that we have on our data dashboard that we don't get on the X site, that you think would be valuable for the board to see?
Yeah. I think, didn't it start? Did I see that? No? Am I totally wrong? There was Emery's shaking her head, I think, right? Isn't it on there? I think the attendance would be a really good thing. I think that it might already be there. Am I wrong on that, too? I think it would be something that you could see. And that was like the first thing I thought of. What about you, Steve, as far as the data?
Don't be afraid.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I'm just trying to think about. I know.
Speak up.
Because it's one of these two where it would have to be over time, right? So you could see that growth, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I go
think about-
straight to,
Yeah.
it's very early because we've just got iReady here, but I think, you know, district level assessments, if you will, like diagnostically in math, that is something that you can, like Jamie said,
Right,
track over
yeah.
time. So, you know, I feel like we come.
Dibbles and
I feel like
the
we come
iReady.
here every year and we
Yeah.
talk about this state test.
Right.
But honestly, we live by Dibbles and some of the other district assessments because that's what we're using to gauge our instruction. So I feel like that would be useful for you to say, and you can look at it over.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the iReady.
And Dibbles,
iReady,
yeah.
Dibbles.
We
You
were
also have
There's
the
phonemic
science
assessments.
The district science assessments in 3, 4, 5, yeah. Because we were excited. I don't know about you guys. We didn't see a huge regression, which, again, in our Dibble scores, we were happy with that. I mean, don't get me wrong, there would be, and there's no, you know, you have those students who come in new, but there was a nice, we didn't regress too
Yeah,
badly.
I always feel like there's, I'd love to get into the weeds with, when you look at our Dibbles testing throughout the course of the year, we've met with our literacy specialists at Mystic and like, oh my gosh, look at the growth these kids are making.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily see that correlation from that assessment to an SBAC assessment. Like, I would always, in my head, think if they're doing so well and they're making so much growth, why does that not translate to a better score on SBAC? But,
Yeah.
you know, you're looking at two different assessments.
Yeah.
One is very multi-layered.
Right.
It's not just looking at, you know, phonemic skills while you're reading. It's
Yeah.
comprehension and other things.
I
So
know.
you can't compare the both, but I struggle with that. You know,
Yeah.
if I see these great gains in Dibbles, why is it not translating
Right.
more?
Right,
to
we'll do
higher
other
test scores?
assessments with it,
I
too.
think we've been more
Yeah.
fastidious about doing the IEBs too. So having
100%,
interim assessment blocks and, you know, the more that we do that kind of strategically
Yeah,
and look at that data, I
Yeah.
think that's going to help.
yeah.
But I don't know if that's on the, do the IEBs even show up on the other state website? Or is that?
IVs are on like an
That
internal.
would be tricky,
Okay.
yeah, that might be tricky to see, I know.
My other question would be, how is the scheduling for elementary school?
Yeah, do you mean
I know
globally,
England
or,
is looking at
because it's always hard, yeah.
And thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So what are your thoughts on that?
It's a science to do in the summertime. It's a lot because there's a lot of moving parts to put in. Yes, a lot of blocks.
Improve upon it, other than making the school day longer.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to do that.
I know.
Well, the kids would have a hard time. But for me, it's like, where do you want to put your money? And for us, it was like, I've got to make sure I've got math blocks on there that don't coincide with each other so that resources can go to one whole team at a clip. But I will say it's not easy with our current ELA with Wit and Wisdom, which I do like, and the teachers do like it as well. And the kids are engaged. When you walk into rooms, they're engaged with what they're doing. But the times are huge. Like grades kindergarten through grade 3, it's 2.5 hours because it includes a 30-minute phonics block. It's got a deep dive for syntax and writing. And then grade 4 and 5 is a 2-hour block. So we're committed to that, I get it, but that's a big chunk on a schedule when you've got a 60-minute block for math. And then 3, 4, 5 also has world language mixed into that as well that we're trying to work around. 5th grade is two classes of that, so it's 60 minutes a week.
Right.
So those are all things that you're trying to work around. You know, it's not an easy gift.
Yeah, and then you want to always think about too the grade level and where you're placing like ELA. I usually try and keep my K1 and 2 with ELA in the morning. It's hard because our win blocks all have to be different. I do also have math blocks separated out so that we can flood if we wanted some coaching. Grade 3 had math specialists in there today helping out with that, so without pulling from another grade level. So it gets a little tricky.
It's very, and then you've got the whole issue with, you know, in grades 4 and 5, they're receiving, well, many of them are receiving instrumental music.
Yeah.
So when are they pulling out of, you know, I'm like not out of core blocks.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to orchestrate that, but you do.
I know.
It's not an easy
Yeah.
thing.
I was able to do band, chorus, and orchestra all on Wednesday morning and not start a specials, so they weren't missing. So it was one of those this year for some reason it was able to work, so that they're not missing some, you know what I mean? We
try to get creative with the math block too. If we know, you know, on paper it says 60 minutes, is it 50 minutes with transition and stuff?
Yeah, I built that in. Yeah.
There's really no intervention block separate, so we're trying to push in and utilize these small groups. It's challenging because you know you're going to be back here next year, and you're going to explain your scores, and it's like trying to do everything you can with this 55 minutes.
I wish we could fit a win block in for math, because then they would have 60 minutes of math block, including small group, and they'd have a separate win block, which would be more of an intervention.
Yeah, we don't either.
Intervention slash enrichment.
You do like a 3-2 split depending on the student, so they may do 3 days if they need both. You know what I mean? Like they do 3 days of literacy, 2 days of math, or vice versa, depending on what they need. So
Let me ask you this question because of the crunch time.
Yeah.
You know, the time for students, and you know, you don't have enough time for this or that. And math being really important as well as literacy. How crucial is world language in elementary schools?
well, it's a nice. It's hard because you know you think about language development and being able to have a student know another language. There's so much science behind it. To me, it would be great to have it at like the kindergarten, first grade, that kind of thing where they're developing. Don't get me wrong. Again, if we had a perfect world and we had a lot of time, it might be excellent. But we struggle because it is a 30-minute, 2 times a week for grade 5 being with students, and sometimes that's a time that teachers really need to continue with math or.
Because we could be using that time to do math
I know.
and literacy instead of world language.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's true. I know.
Yeah, I agree.
It is. It's hard.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I feel bad
It is
saying
tough.
that, but it's true.
I just go back to, I want to just make sure that kids are doing really well with ELA and math. And I'm not dismissing science at all.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that I need kids to be really good readers and confident readers And, you know,
Yeah.
I need kids that are able to really take that and then be able to do
Yeah.
that too.
Because sometimes, 2 days a week for half a year, and sometimes it doesn't, happen.
And that would
so.
provide a 30-minute window
Yeah.
for math.
Yeah. Or 60, right?
Or
Because
60, yeah.
grade 5 is twice the 30, so I know. Yeah. Just being
Anyone
honest.
online? Dr. A, Jay, Mike, you have any questions before we wrap this up?
No, it was very impressive and very thorough, and I really appreciate that. It gave me a lot of things to think about.
Mike, thank you, Dr. A. Mike?
Yes, thank you. First, I'll make a quick pitch for science and say that it's not just about facts and exploring, it's about critical thinking. So I think math is the language of science, and if you can use science, you give math some added purpose to people, especially young learners. So that's my pitch as a scientist. But what I'd like is if we could look at, or at least discuss, the EdSite performance and just in like how these schools are doing relative to the state. And if we're not going to do that full sail, I've got a specific question.
You have a question? I don't think we're going
Well,
to do
can we
that
pull up
now.
Can we pull up the website or no? Or no?
Well, I don't know.
I'm not signed in.
What are we doing here, Mike? We're pulling up the EdSite website to look at how the schools compare to...
To the state, and it's because the way it's linked up, you can do basically a report card for a given school, and it's got all the same categories we just talked about if you click open performance. But what it has, which I find very useful, is one, this is the entry point that a lot of people are going to look at when they look at the school, and two, it's got that comparison to the state averages, which we haven't talked much about, but I think it's very important, particularly if we're trying to justify additional funds.
can we do that another time, Mike, and not tonight?
Okay, then my main question is, can either one or both of the principals discuss the relatively low performance on basically the physical activity? It's what is it called? Percent of students reaching fitness standard. I've got Mystic River open right now. It's like 14% this year versus the state average of 49. I think the Thames River is probably in the 30s. But anyway, it's troublingly low, and it seems to be plummeting. And I think that's an important part of performance that the school system get rated on. And I think, while I may not agree with exact tests that they do, physical fitness is an important component of a healthy mind and a healthy student learner.
Yeah.
Mike, I can speak a tiny bit to that. It is only our fourth grade students, and I actually went into the PE classes when the PE teacher was administering the assessment, and it is very telling. So, it's very specific about a certain number of things, whether it be sit and reach, whether it be sit-ups, push-ups, standing in place with certain activities. It is very specific for that.
The specific form that they have to do as well for the different, and there is and I don't have it in front of me, I feel bad, I would have had it, but there's a real discrepancy between what the girls do versus the males, the girls and boys. It's interesting, and what they need to pass. And I feel bad because I don't have that data in front of me right now. To be able to help you with that.
I do think it's a dialogue that is, I feel, I'm not passing the buck, but it is a physical education dialogue. I think it's really important for us to look at that across the 5 elementary schools, because, if you do have schools that are scoring higher than others, that conversation, those teachers meet during TLI days as well to discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like you're looking at individual students and what their overall fitness is in general.
Sure.
Like, are they coming to school? What is their profile? What are they being fed at home? You know, I mean, I even think there's conversations about, you know, them being able to, like you said, there's one that's called the sit and reach, and they're sitting in front of a box and they're stretching forward, and I feel like there's some kids that just physically are able to do that, while others may not be able
The
to.
pacer, push-ups,
the pacer
sit-ups,
too.
yeah.
Thank you. I mean, I am familiar with the test, and I'm kind of shocked that they haven't changed in decades. And so I think like at the state level, maybe school districts should get together and push for change, something that's like more relevant. But I am also concerned that our district is lower than the state average. So whatever we can do to, like, both hopefully change the test and get it more of a healthy balance and bring our scores up would be wonderful.
Anything else, Mike?
No, I'm all set. Thank you very much.
Okay. And we'll see about the Ed site question at another meeting, okay? Jay, you have a question?
I just want to say that, speaking of meetings, I know this must be a meeting that both of you look forward to all year long, to come and talk to the Board of Ed. But in all seriousness, it's the highlight for us where we're actually hearing from professional educators in the field. You've given us a lot to think about in the upcoming budget session, but just thank you for everything that you and your staff are doing to support the students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ditto here. Yeah. They're smiling, Jay. They're happy.
It's always good, right?
At least smiling.
I feel like it's always a dialogue.
Yeah, it's great.
It always comes back to kids, though.
Yeah,
Right,
Always comes back.
100%. I know.
Yeah, we're all here
Trying to
for the
support
best
right?
interest of the kids and see how we can help them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And if, hopefully, if tutors are what you need, I'm sure my buddy over here will make sure we get some tutors in the budget. What you
I have ideas.
Yay, see, we like ideas. This is good.
He'll be pushing for that for sure.
Thank you.
Especially since we know that's going to help you guys.
Yeah.
I'll be pushing for that also.
Yeah, we need it. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank
you. You too. I know, huh? Hobble out of here on my way.
Bye.
Bye, thank you. Thank you.
All right, and now adjournment. We have a motion to adjourn.
Dr. A?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second? Second, Jerry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Jay. All those in favor of adjournment? Okay, it is 8:40 and we are adjourned. Thank you.